I'm back, child, but I'm barely awake. Ooh, honey. Child. Ooh. I just got me a couple of hours nap. Now I'm back at it, child. We back, okay? Ooh, child. Y'all know how like you wake up but you really not awake? Okay, you really still sleep. Child. Ooh. All right. We just go pick up right where we left off. Ooh, child. This is how it be, y'all. This is the trenches. That's what I be trying to tell y'all. Sometimes it just be like you work a little, you do a little bit of work. You gotta take a little break, take a little nap, get right back up, get right back at it. Okay. So we are back. It is 4:44. Okay. 4:40. Are those angel numbers? It's 4:44 right now. In the morning. I think I let y'all go. It was like, what time I let y'all go? About 2 something? Probably about 2. Then I told Alexa to wake me up at in like what I say, like 2 hours, 2.5 hours or something. But I woke up before the alarm went off, so I'm up, child. So y'all, I ran across this video. We can watch this video while we working, while we're writing. And this one is a mother, y'all. This is a mother who is up for parole. Hold on, let me share this screen, child. And you know what? It really don't be no different. It really don't be no different. You got a liar and manipulator, child. It doesn't matter if it's a male or a female. If they evil, they just evil. You know? I be trying to tell y'all all the time, it's spiritual, like you can't really just look at someone and say, okay, because that's a male or because that's a female, then they're trustworthy, or because they're black or because they're white or because of this or that. Like you can't go by surface level stuff. It's all spiritual, you got to judge the spirit. So y'all, this one is a mother. And again, we're watching the Mandu channel on YouTube. And he posts a lot of parole hearings, videos of parole hearings, and y'all don't mind me, child. I'm still trying to wake up. No, I have not brushed my teeth yet. I just got right up. Okay, I just got right, and I'm about to eat some ice cream too. This is the trenches, people. Welcome to the trenches. Okay, this is what happens when you focus on your writing. You got to get this stuff done. These books are not gonna write themselves. Okay. Woo. But don't worry about it. Y'all can't smell my breath anyway, so don't worry about it. Okay, so let me start this video for y'all. I also want to put on here. We are watching. I'm gonna put an @ on here, so maybe it'll help. So I gotta get these fingers to start working this morning. Gotta get these fingers to work this morning. Okay, so we're watching the Mandu channel on YouTube. Uh-oh, I put YouTube. My bad. See, I told y'all. Gotta get these fingers working this morning. Uh-oh. My bad. Okay. So y'all, let's watch this one. This is a lady, and it says her daughter speaks up at her parole hearing. Let me see. Looks like her name is Elia or Elia. And then there's another one, Elisa. So we're gonna hear their stories, hear what they did, child. But when I tell y'all, this stuff
I know what I did was
it's spiritual. It is not the surface level stuff. Y'all keep looking at surface level stuff. Y'all think it's race. Y'all think it's gender. y'all think it's, the way a person like just presents themselves, but y'all, it's spiritual. So that's why you got to have discernment, because you gotta be able to judge more than just the surface level. So let's hear her story, child.
Was very wrong. I know what I did. I know what I did. I know what I did.
Yeah, we know what
So
you did
what
too,
did you
girl.
do? I took a gun and I was aiming it at my ex-boyfriend and his child. His child was present. And I was almost I didn't know how to use it, and it didn't go off.
Y'all see how she's saying it? I was aiming a gun at my ex-boyfriend. Girl, she got about that same attitude like the dude in the last video.
We are about to watch the parole hearing of a Connecticut woman who has a real difficult time with telling the truth. And I think the parole board does a stellar job at getting it out. Let's jump in and watch it, and I'll unpack it with the details at the end.
Leah Profit, 444-741.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Leah Profit, inmate number 444-741. She is serving a sentence of 6 years suspended after 30 months with 5 months probation for assault third, failure to appear second, risk of injury, violation of protective order, and carrying a pistol without a permit. As of today, record reflects parole eligibility date for September 22nd, 2024. There is no victim input in the case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender, and the review shows that she is in anger management beyond violence. Utilizing the women's risk needs assessment is one of the offender's overall score for city and multiple range. Mr. Profit, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Yes, I have a letter. Is it okay if I read it?
Yes, please, go ahead, get started.
Okay, good morning and thank you for providing me the
And
opportunity.
child, somebody probably wrote that for her.
You will take your time to listen. This is the first time I have put myself in a situation not only affected my freedom, but also hurt my friends and family. Most importantly, the victims affected by my crime. Upon my arrival, I realized how quick I was to react to situations and was very impulsive. The time I have spent here has made me become more patient and less impulsive and realize for every action there is a reaction. I have gotten one ticket, tried to reach out and apologize to my victim, but realized that was set in place for a reason and endure the consequences that came with it. I realized the effect I had on my victim and his child that was present. I wish I could take it back what happened, but we know that it's not possible. So instead of forgetting about it, it will always be a reminder of what I don't want to happen again, moving forward. While being here, I completed beyond violence and anger management. I worked at commissary for several months. I also attended several help groups for trauma and emotional therapy. And bring to parole, I plan on starting work with the help of my family and attending a therapist as soon as I'm released. I know the time I have spent here has helped me grow as a person and made me focus on what I want out of life. Thank you for taking the opportunity to listen, and I can assure you that if granted parole, I will complete this with no issues.
All right, well, thank you, Ms. Prophet, for preparing a statement for us. We're going to take turns asking you questions based on the documents that were available to us. Then we will discuss your case, and you'll have your decision this morning. We're going to begin questions with my colleague, Ms. Chance.
Okay. So, Mr. Prophet, thank you for writing out the statement. Appreciate the time put into it. So I first wanted to ask, in your opening comment, you stated that this is the first time that you put yourself in this situation.
Yes, ma'am.
But I want to ask you, did you understand what the violation of protective order meant when you were placed on it or against?
Yes, ma'am. So I do understand that, but unfortunately, I was just caught up in a situation where I thought people can change, a person can change, and thinking things will work out when I should have just listened to the plan that was set in place.
the matter is that is an order through the court,
Yes.
right?
So, yes.
So why did you think that you could disobey what the court instructed you not to do?
Just, I was just being hard-headed and wanted to do things my own way and not trying to follow orders.
So
What were you doing with the gun?
what were you doing with the gun?
It wasn't my gun. But it was in the area that I was in, and I was in fear for my life. I was in his car, and prior to the situation, he was beating on me. So I was scared for my own life. So I grabbed it out of his car. And it was there. It was not my gun. I don't have any weapons. I've never been around the gun.
I asked why you were doing with the gun. I didn't ask you who the gun belonged to.
The fact of the matter is
that you had the gun, and now you're saying that you took it out of someone's car.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you gonna do with it?
She is really playing this role with these ponytails and the voice and the whole thing, y'all. She's really trying to play this role, child.
In that situation, I was really nervous and I was really scared for my life, and I was just trying to.
Ms. Prophet, let me remind you that we have the police reports for this incident, so we've read the details. So you need to be accurate and forthcoming in the hearing.
I am. What happens in the situation? We were
something before you go on. When you said you were in fear for your life, and that you feared that he was hitting you or doing something to you, the police report indicated that they did not observe anything that was wrong with you. There were no harm.
In my case, they see that I had bruises, I had black eyes. I presented all of that to the court. My lawyer did.
Okay. Keep going.
I presented all of that evidence to the court. I was in fear for my life, and I was trying to get away, but he kept coming towards me.
And so what did you do?
I made a decision that was not. I should have never done.
Girl, what did you do? She asked you what you did. I made a decision I should have never done. Like, you know, sometimes, I guess it's really no different. Like I said, it's not any different between these male and these female inmates. Now you could tell when they want to deceive, they'll lie, they'll do all the things. I don't really believe she was in fear of her life. She doesn't even it just seems like that's a convenient lie that's believable because she's a woman, which is pretty sad, you know.
Okay, you shouldn't have done what?
I should have never pulled the gun out and pointed it at him and his son. I should have never done that at all.
Did you know the gun was loaded?
Girl, yeah, she knew that gun was loaded.
Yes, I did.
She knew, child.
Do you know how to use the gun?
No, ma'am, I don't.
So you didn't know how to use the gun, but you took it out.
Yes.
Did the person have a weapon or something else that made you afraid?
Yes, ma'am. He also had one as well.
He had a gun?
As well. Yes, ma'am.
Charles, so both of y'all just crazy.
I don't know, there's some difference of opinion in terms of what you're saying that, so what kind of mood were you in? Do you think you were under the influence or something else was going on with you?
I was triggered because like I stated before, he was very abusive to me. So I was in fear.
Okay, so my question is, were you under the influence?
Do y'all believe that?
we had a few drinks. We were at a cookout, a family cookout. Yes, I was drinking.
And so do you think you had a little bit too much alcohol?
No, I don't believe so because it was just I didn't go overboard. We didn't have a lot of drinks, no.
So I'm gonna tell you what police said. He said he smelled a strong odor of alcohol coming from your breath.
Yes, ma'am. Like I just said, we were at a family event and we were drinking, yes. But I don't think that I had a lot.
You know,
That is not what they want to hear, child.
Asking us to consider granting you discretionary parole, and you haven't been honest. First of all, you denied committing the offense, and you're trying to blame it on the victim. So do you think you're being honest today?
I'm trying my hardest to be honest with you. Yes, I do believe that I'm being honest.
How you have to try your hardest to be honest?
Because the problem is,
ain't that hard.
If you are not honest, you take the programs, and I don't know if what you've gained from the program has any meaning to you if you don't acknowledge the behavior that you're addressing.
Yes, I understand.
So what do you think are the behaviors that you're addressing? Because you said that, you completed beyond violence and anger management.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what was it that helped you in beyond violence if you're saying you didn't commit the offense?
I never said that I didn't commit the offense. I know what I did was very wrong. I know what I did. I know what I did.
So what did you do?
I took a gun and I was aiming it at my ex-boyfriend and his child. His child was present. And I was almost I didn't know how to use it and it didn't go off.
And were you on the
Girl,
influence
please.
of alcohol?
Yes, ma'am. I had a few drinks. I stated that we were at a family cookout and we were drinking. Yes.
Okay. So, what did you learn from the incident?
Nothing.
But I learned that I should have never even been involved with the individual set from when the protective order was in place. I should have stayed away.
Okay, so that's one. What's the other?
That I should have never reacted, and I should have just. I should have never reacted, and I should have learned to walk away and not be involved.
And so you went to a family event and you drank, knowing that you had to. Were you driving back home? Were you going to drive back home?
I wasn't driving. It was the other individual driving.
Okay, so you were with someone and so you had too much to drink, and the situation just grew out of control.
Oh, yes.
So how would you handle that situation next time?
No different, child.
Normal, I wouldn't put myself in a situation like that anymore, because being in here and being in the groups, I learned who to surround myself with, changing my people, places, and things that I'm around. I learned that I'm not going to put myself in situations like that anymore.
So one of the things that you have to learn, Ms. Croft, is that, number one, when the court set rules, you have to obey them. And when you have a parole or a probation officer, you have to follow the rules and guidelines that are established.
Yes, ma'am.
That's kind of what I wanted you to hear. And also, according to the PSI, when the police interviewed you, he did say that you smelled of alcohol. So by being under the influence of alcohol, you were not able to follow rules or act appropriately. And instead, you had a loaded gun, and there was a child present. So you see why you ended up with all these charges?
Yes, ma'am.
And you know what your charges are?
Yes, ma'am.
What are they?
Possession of a firearm, first injury to a minor, and violation of protective order.
And assault third.
Yes.
Okay. So, is it your sister that you said have your apartment, is taking care of your apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
And what are you going to do about the job?
So as of now, I'm still a CNA, so my old job, they're willing to let me come back and work with them as long as I bring an updated physical. I'm able to start work immediately.
Well, at least that's a good thing.
The
That's a good
last
thing.
thing that I want to
You have a job lined up.
just go over with you. So I read during the interview that you denied committing the offense. So are you telling us today that you're acknowledging that you committed the offense?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I take full responsibility, and I know my actions and what I did was very wrong. I should have never done it at all.
Okay, so, well, I have no further questions for you, Ms. Prophet. I appreciate you answering my questions. Madam Chair, so.
Okay, so Ms. Prophet, what we're doing today is making a decision about whether it's appropriate for you to finish the 2.5 years you have to serve out in the community. And we have to make that decision in light of the interests of public safety. And I would say that not only what you did was wrong, but it was reckless. So you were under the influence in possession of a loaded handgun that you admit you had no idea how to operate. And you were leaving the gun in the middle of the street as cars were driving by. And then you made
Like
the
a
decision
mad
to
woman.
point the gun at the victim and his child. And it's all on video because they made a video from the front porch of the incident. And I'm struggling with your assertion that you were concerned for your own safety because you got out of the vehicle with the gun, approached the front door, continued to pull the slide back, and once at the front door, you broke the glass of the front door with your gun, then you went back to your vehicle. So, if you were afraid for your own safety, I'm trying to understand why you are the aggressor in this situation. And, obviously, you had some intent because as you admitted to us today, the gun, you said it didn't go off. So you must have been pulling the trigger in some fashion. You were obviously jamming it with the slide that you were.
You better put two and two together, girl.
Firearms. So my concern is that, you had a protective order against you, you violated it, you were under the influence, you were in possession illegally of a loaded firearm that you were willing to point at other human beings. You have a standing criminal protective order against you until the year 2099. And now when you're back out in the community, you have 5 years on the state's deadly weapon offender registry. You also have 3.5 years of this sentence hanging over your head when you go out to probation. You violate probation and you could be brought back and made to serve that time. So, I understand you've been halfway house approved by DOC?
Yes, ma'am.
Great, okay. I've, nothing else. Mr. Stasauskas.
Thank you very much. I just have one quick question. Have you taken an addiction services program? I see this some other stuff.
Yes, so when I spoke to the council, the man that runs the addiction services group, he told me that, he doesn't feel that I need it.
Okay. All right, that was my only question. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so, if you'll give us just a minute, please don't interrupt. Ms. Chance, where are you with Ms. Prophet?
So, I have some concerns about Prophet because she had a protective order against her. It's obvious she did not pay attention to what the judge's orders were in terms of the protective order, and thought she could.
And can I add to that, she's incarcerated and she's violating the rules regarding the phone in order to use somebody else's PIN to contact the victim.
Right. And, in addition to that, she was under the influence of alcohol with a loaded gun, said she didn't fire it, but based on the description, she did make attempts to fiddle with it, but wasn't able to get it off. And then going out and waving it out there in front of the victim and his child. That is extremely serious. And, she's saying that she completed the Beyond Violence and the anger management and didn't feel, she minimized her use of alcohol, which was concerning for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then we also have in other documents that she uses alcohol to self-medicate, which is obviously indicative of somebody with a problem.
Right.
And you, sir?
Yeah, I'm also concerned. I'm also concerned the fact that she hasn't addressed this. All appears to be somewhat related to alcohol, and there hasn't been any program to address that issue.
Well, and it is on her OAP, so I'm not sure why she would have been assessed as.
So that in addition to everything that you guys have said, that just to me that adds to this for me, so I'm in denial today.
Okay. I have nature and circumstance, inadequate program participation, and evidence of offender change. So in the matter of Alliance Profit, in case number 444741, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: the nature and circumstances of your offenses, inadequate program participation, and evidence of offender change. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Profit, you'll go out to probation, perhaps halfway house through DOC.
They're gonna let her out.
Success.
This concludes the hearing for the live profit inmate number 44474.
Is that what they said? They're gonna let her out, y'all?
And I think the way that the parole board handled this, it was artful. It was well done. And it's like sometimes the Connecticut parole board, they really do a good job at it. And other times, what it does to me, it leaves me kind of, pulling a man dude, just yelling off my chair. And even the Iowa parole board learned how to do things. If this was an Iowa parole hearing, they would have said, "Oh, yeah, that was a great hearing. That was a really great hearing. Hey, you should just get parole. No restrictions at all." And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. If you haven't seen Iowa parole hearings, go check out the playlist. They are that nutty. You will see a parole hearing where someone does, lies and takes no accountability, etc., and then they'll just all in unison say, "That was a great hearing." So I wish I could have shown you like the video camera footage or something like that. There's nothing on this case, or it has, a record which is quite substantial. You have in 2019, you have the assault third, failure to appear, 7/17/2023. That was this one, which was carrying a pistol without a permit, which in and itself in Connecticut is a 5-year minimum charge. So it's always interesting that I guess the judges have leeway to give even shorter sentences than the legislative minimum. Here it's a sentence of 3 years jail, executed, suspended after 15 months, probation 5 years. She has a risk of injury to a child and in the violation of a protective order. Can you for 1 second imagine if this was a man? Would they have treated it any differently if it was a man that had pulled a gun on his girlfriend and her child? We don't know how old the child was, but I'm just saying, who had a protection order over, and then, whatever, here's just, don't worry. But the truth is, we have seen men with long records that have done things like this and have received similar sentences. So I don't really have much of a leg to stand on. I'm just saying, just think about that. And she takes no accountability. She knows that they have camera footage of it. She's very well aware of that. But she just assumed that the parole board would not. And her strategy was, let me show up, let me put a smile on, and maybe they just won't know. Her story was, I was in fear for my life. So I took his gun, he had a gun, and then I pulled it out, and the story makes no sense. It's like, lady, if you're in fear for your life and you think he's gonna kill you, it's okay to point the gun at him. But like she's trying to have it both ways. She's like, I was in fear for my life, but I shouldn't have pointed the gun at him, and I was waiting, and I shouldn't have. And then it's like,
that's how them lies are.
Put the gun in his child, though.
That's how it is when you be lying, child. Yeah, it's not gonna add up, and then you feel like you're gonna try to cover yourself because you lying, but then this is kind of a good excuse too. So like, she was trying to ride both of them. Like you said, she wanted it both ways, child. You can't have it that way. She's probably drunk and reckless, and just did what she wanted to do, child. I want to see the second case, though.
But that's a whole different point. And she's apparently waiting in the street, and there's a scene, and people have it on camera, and she even went to the house and broke. And it's like, and it sounds like she actually did try to shoot, and she didn't know how to operate the gun. And what was the word? But now what we're going to do is we're going to watch a parole hearing where I wish, it's the same parole board, and I wish they would have taken the same assertiveness that I thought they had in this parole hearing and would have thrown it at this cockroach, sorry excuse, of a mother. But, I just don't see it. I don't see them doing that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm feeling that kind of out of it, and watching these hearings when you're feeling out of it, you might see things differently a second time, but that's my takeaway. Anyways, let's jump in and I'll unpack this very scary hearing at the end.
The victim's account is very detailed and comes across as entirely credible, and as my colleague pointed out, substantiated by other people who were outcry witnesses and participated in the perpetration of the victimization of your own daughter. And it would seem to me that you would have some capability as a mother of apologizing for failing to protect your own child.
And we are about to watch the parole hearing
That lady looks mean. Did y'all see her face? Oh, she looks mean.
sorry excuse of a mother, and it is only going to shake you to your core. At least it did that for me. We see evil. We see all levels of evil, but there is something that I think that we hold sacred in society. It might be the most fundamental thing between a mother and her child. It's a relationship built on instinct to drive, to protect, to nurture, to shelter from harm.
Some people ain't got it,
And when
y'all.
you find out that this mother does the exact opposite, and then nearly 10 years into her 10-year sentence shows up and says, no, I'm the victim. My daughter is lying. I shouldn't be here. We are going to watch something that will just enrage. But what is more enraging? Some mothers are evil. Some mothers should never have the ability to, or at least the right to claim to be one, right? But where is the justice? We know that evil exists, so how come there's a 10-year sentence and that is it? Where is the ADA for a case like this? We will see the survivors stand up and lay down the facts, and I'll unpack it with the details, the horrific details. She was just 8 years old when it started. It went on for 4 years. It took years to bring this roach to justice, and now
He got her roach.
She has the audacity to call her daughter a liar. The audacity
Yeah, look at that
to say that
face.
she is innocent.
Look at that
And to
face.
think that regardless, she will be walking the streets. And you call this justice? Now, this is something that a lot of society likes to put their head in the sand and pretend and to think that it doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. So is it a mother betraying society's most basic trust? Or perhaps it's our justice system that is trying to betray all of us?
Lisa Ortega, 402-931.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Lisa Ortega in number 402-931. She is serving a sentence of 10 years and 10 years special parole for sexual assault first and illegal sexual contact. As of today, the records reflect parole eligibility date of December 9, 2024. There is no victim input. I apologize. There is victim input in this case. There is a limiting plan for the offender has been reviewed to show she's completed the voice program and the children from sex offender program. Utilizing the University's assessment program, they've got an overall score of 6 involves within the lower range. Mrs. Ortega, this is your opportunity to make an opening statement to the board explaining why you believe you should be granted parole.
First, I would like to thank my family and friends who have supported me over the years. And I have taken the time to also stand by me throughout these proceedings. There's nothing more that I would like than to be set free and put this past nightmare behind me. And to start living my life over. At this time, I'm sure you would like to hear how remorseful I am for the crime I've been convicted of. I'm unable to do that because I did not commit the crime that I'm convicted of. I remember the day that I was brought to York.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there, Ms. Ortega. The
Okay.
question that was posed to you is, why do you believe you deserve parole? We've read all the documents.
She already
about the
messing up,
case.
y'all.
You can focus on why you deserve it, not why you want it.
Okay, then I'm gonna stop right here and I'm just gonna go right to your questions
Okay.
because I would rather do that.
And that would be fine. And hopefully we'll learn a little bit more about what you've done to prepare yourself to be successful when you're back out in the community. We'll begin this morning with my colleague, Mr. Sosowskis.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning. So I read through all the documents provided to us for this case, and I understand that although you pled guilty and completed the sex offender treatment while you've been incarcerated, that you continue to maintain that you didn't commit these crimes. And I heard you repeat that again in your opening statement. Is that still the case? Is that still your stance on this, that you did not commit these crimes?
Yes.
Okay. And in some of the documents and paperwork I read, you seem to blame the victim, and go on to say that they've done all these other things to you since you've been incarcerated and all of that. And you still feel that way?
I don't blame the victim at all. I don't blame her. I blame myself for bringing somebody into my home that I shouldn't have. I blame myself for allowing myself to not conduct a background of, looking into, what type of person that he was, and allowing myself to not know what kind of person he was, and allowing to not hurt my child. I don't allow him, I don't allow, just anyone from around my child, and I did in this circumstance.
Okay. So, in your opening statement, you said that you couldn't offer an apology or take responsibility, but I'm hearing some of that now. So, you're recognizing a little bit of what your role could have been in this, in your mind. You know what I mean? People, you want to take a minute? Are you okay?
Oh, Lord Jesus. Not the waterworks. Not the waterworks. Y'all, when I see somebody crying and lying, child, I just look at them like, come on now. Just go ahead and dry that up, because, we're not buying it. We're not buying it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. Don't even apologize to me.
This is my child.
Yeah. There's other people you can apologize to. You don't need to apologize.
She got the ugly cry too.
That's what I would like to hear is, some sense of compassion, empathy, understanding about what you believe your role was in this. These are a terrible set of facts and circumstances that I had to read through. And, you're saying that you can't make an apology, and it's difficult for me to listen to you say that, and you have no feeling of remorse or any of that with this. Is there anything else you want to say in regards to, your remorse or an apology, anything at all to that effect that you would like to say?
Like I said, I should have brought someone into my home that would hurt my child. And that's where I show my remorse.
Girl, you was the one in the home who hurt your child.
I should have known better.
You understand, you've read the facts in this case. Have you seen the police reports?
Yes.
It's been a long time. Okay.
Yes.
So the allegations are much more than that. You know that, right? You understand that? Okay. I just want to make sure you know. I understand you're acknowledging this section of that, but there are a lot more allegations that don't involve that person, that involve other people, that involve you.
I know, and I also know my daughter recanted her story four times.
Yeah. I see you completed the Voices program, and it looks like you may have taken that in cell. Was that during COVID, or what was going on? You took the voice.
I didn't take voices. I don't believe I took voice. I don't know. I took a whole bunch of different programs, and I don't know which ones I took.
I was going to ask you some questions about that, because Voices has to do with victims and, the impact that you have on victims and how giving you better insight onto how a victim may perceive what happened differently than from you, because they're on the receiving end of this, and how it affects their life, people around them, other people in the community, neighbors. You know, when things happen, it's like a ripple effect. You know, but you don't recall this.
No, I don't. It's been so long. I've been here a long time.
It was a long time ago. I did see you take that. So. So something else I read throughout these documents is that during the interview with the parole officer, you denied ever using illegal drugs. You said, "I've never used illegal drugs." However, in all of these reports, there's like mentions of it all over the place about your illegal drug use during the time that this offense occurred.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they just be lying,
Do you recall ever
child.
using illegal drugs? Did you have a drug problem when you were younger?
Just a lie.
No, I've never had a drug problem.
Okay, that's so. I want to just be clear. So did you use illegal drugs occasionally?
No.
Never used illegal drugs.
The only drugs I've ever used are prescription drugs.
So you never used marijuana. You never used cocaine.
No, the only time I've ever used marijuana was when I broke my leg.
Okay, so that would have been long after these that was long after these crimes took place, right?
Yeah.
That your accident was later.
During my proceedings.
Exactly, that's what it sounded like, because it was talk of that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't know why people would say that you were using marijuana and cocaine.
Because I was hanging around with people that were doing it.
But you weren't using it, and they were telling the police and other people that you were using it. Why would people say that, regardless of these other allegations?
Because she was. That's why.
Say that you were using drugs when you weren't.
I have no idea, but I was not using. I've taken drug tests over the years and nothing's ever popped up.
Yeah, so we're talking
Y'all
about
believe her?
These crimes were reported much later, right? A long time after they had occurred. And so they're talking about at the time that these crimes were being committed, that there was drug use involved. But you're denying that you ever used drugs.
Yeah, no, I've never.
There's just so many things that are different than from what you're saying. And besides, you're taking some accountability for letting a person that was a danger to the victim into your home. All these other things you don't take responsibility for. All right, let me see what else I have here. So I wanted to talk about your current husband. Do you talk to him on the phone?
Every day.
You do? Okay. So I read your release plan is to live with your husband. Is that still a plan? Because then there was some talk about a halfway house. So I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, I want to go home.
Did the parole ops team, did they talk to your husband? Have they cleared the way for you to go there?
I gave him the phone number for my husband, but I haven't heard anything about it.
I looked at it. It appears that he has a criminal history, right? That's
that was back from 2009.
Substantial, though. I mean, there's some from what I saw, it looks like very serious, very serious crimes. So,
it's okay irritating to me when people try to say like, oh, well, that was like this long ago. It was like, it was back in this time. Like, so, like, to me, that doesn't matter, because to me, it's just like, it just means, okay, like, they probably just haven't been caught recently. It doesn't really or they still did it. Like, even if it was a long time ago, they still did it. So the timeline is not that important to me. They try to say it like they're just so far removed from what they did that time has somehow made that person better. You know what I mean? Like, nah, that's not how that works. That's just not how that works. And so I don't like it when people say, well, that was like 5 years ago. It was like 10 years ago. So I still did it.
You can't go there. Where is it you're gonna go?
I have no place to go.
So you'll have to go to a halfway house. What's your mobility situation now? How well are you getting around?
I use a walker.
Okay. I saw some mention of a wheelchair. That's no more.
No, I just use a walker.
What else? What else is in your plan for release? What is it? What's your plan for the rest of your life when you get out?
What do you mean? What I plan on doing?
Yeah.
Girl,
are you
what
gonna
you think
work?
he
I
mean?
saw something about applying for
It
Social
is not that
Security.
hard of a question.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to apply for disability. I got hurt when I was in here several times.
I did see some training documents that you learned some skills that maybe could you work from home, do you think?
I don't think I'm gonna end up working from home because I hurt my back while I was here. I also broke my ankle completely, which isn't healed. So I have to have that looked at. So once those are taken care of and if I'm able to work, then I'll be working from home.
What kind of work do you think you could do? I read you doing some.
Y'all, she ain't got no type of plan.
Braille, is that right?
Yeah, no, I won't be doing Braille, I'll be doing medical coding.
Did you learn that while you're incarcerated?
No, I was doing it before I was incarcerated.
Okay.
I learned Braille while I was incarcerated.
I saw that.
Well, that's
There were
good.
several documents in there, and that seems like it would be a difficult thing to learn for me anyway, you know? Can you talk about how you think you've changed since you've been incarcerated? Is anything, do you see any self-improvement since you've been in there through the programs?
More humble than I was before I came in. Things are a lot different.
Girl, don't start that crying stuff again,
I miss
please,
my
Lord.
family. I miss my daughter immensely. But I can't see her anymore.
So you understand that you have a protective order and all of that, right?
Yes.
And so you're not going to be able to reach out to any of them unless you got that straightened out through the court, you know, or whatever. And go ahead.
My granddaughter went to court and released the protective order, and I've been talking and visiting with her.
So that was one portion of the order, right? So there was multiple people in it. Okay. So that's what has to be done if you want to. So have you been sending messages to the victim through her or no?
No.
Girl, you bet
No,
not
at all.
be.
You haven't had any contact with the victim this entire time you've been incarcerated,
No.
even through other people.
No.
Y'all believe her?
No. And I won't. I won't do it.
I don't know, y'all.
You know, you completed.
That kind of got me a little scared too, because there's documents that she's stolen my identity before.
I read your claims about that in paperwork.
So,
And there are avenues that you can pursue, you know, separate from all this to address those things if you like. But that's not anything that, you know, is anything that we would be involved with or address or you know, it's, you know, we're here to decide your suitability for release into the community. You know, you're eligible, and so we have to look at all the facts and then make a decision on your suitability. And what other people are doing is just not, you know, part of that decision-making process. But you took the 12-week sex offender treatment program, right? You did complete it.
Yes. Yes.
And it sounded like it was difficult for you from what I read in the documents. I mean, is there anything that, go ahead, you want to say something? I don't want to interrupt you, go ahead. Do you have something to
It's
say?
just very difficult.
Okay. I mean, is there anything at all that you consider that you took away from that you think could help you, just living as a positive person in the future?
It was just a very difficult course because I'm a victim myself.
Yeah. Those, addressing these things and being honest and forthright, in my experience with dealing with other offenders, is very difficult. And also with victims, right? So these are sensitive nature situations that are difficult to address and talk about openly, but that's where we're at, So you have some special parole to follow, and so you're gonna have to take the long-term sex offender treatment program at some point out in the community. Have you thought about that?
No, I didn't know I had to take it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, that's normally what happens. Okay. And it's likely that you'll have to do that based on all the documents that I read and then my experience with past cases like this. So it's going to be even more of what you experienced in incarcerated. You know what I mean? And you'll be required to complete it.
Okay.
You'll be able to do that, you think?
I don't know, but I don't think I'm gonna be given a choice.
So yeah, I went through most of the things. My colleagues are going to have some questions for you. So let me ask you this, going back to the original crime. You know that they spoke to the co-defendant in this case, this person that you said you wish you had not brought into the house. And, between the time that all this happened and the time that they interviewed him for that person, did you talk to that person? Did anyone talk to that person? You had no contact with that person in years?
No, I don't know.
Yet their story was very similar to what the complaint was. Do you know that? Did you read through that?
No, I didn't read through that. I didn't read through the whole thing.
Yeah, their version of events is very close to what the victim stated. In addition, the victim had provided some information about a person that she told this story to when they were a child, and they contacted that person who had also not spoken to them. I mean, and they also said, yeah, I remember them saying this, so there's some people that corroborated some of the facts, the majority of the facts of this case, that no one appears to have had contact with in between the time the crimes were committed until the report was made. So it's hard for us hard for me after reading all that and then hearing you say that none of this is true and that your only part in this was not doing a better job, investigating or knowing the person they brought into the house. There's a lot more that appears to be involved after reading all these documents. It leads me to that conclusion. I can't seem to go anywhere else with that. Have you spoken to the co-defendant, the other person that was arrested for these crimes?
No,
Well, during the legal trial, any of that stuff, you have never spoken to that person again since they moved out of your house long ago?
no. I don't know.
Okay, I appreciate you answering my questions. I wish you good luck. I'm gonna turn this over to my colleagues, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Y'all sound weird about this lady. Something
So-
really weird.
Ms. Ortega, normally when someone comes before us asking for parole, it's because they're expressing some form of remorse, saying that they have taken programs to address the issue that has to do with their crimes. And then, you say what you've learned, how it has helped you. So, two things. You said you never used illegal drugs because I read that you didn't like the taste of alcohol and they found out you were allergic to marijuana. So that's what I read. But at the time of the court proceedings, you took a plea deal because you said you were scared and you had a bad lawyer. But you had a bad lawyer. And you alluded to it again when my colleague asked you questions. So the judge in the case went over the facts of the lawyer with you, and you took back some of the original statements about your lawyer being bad. Meaning he wasn't a good lawyer. You took all of that back. But I want to bring to your attention that you're here denying the offense, but in reading the documents that we have, it said this behavior took place over a 2-year period. Okay? And the co-defendant, as my colleague said to you, his information was similar to the events that was reported by the victim. So it's concerning to me that you're sitting there, you don't remember some of the programs that you took, you said, and the short-term sex offender program that you participated in. You said that you don't remember much because it opened up old wounds for you. So I really don't know what voices or the short-term sex offender program did for you today. So I would have difficulty, supporting you going out in the community because I haven't heard any changes from you. I haven't heard you express any remorse for the victim. And you just keep going back to talking about that you didn't do it. And your problem is that you brought someone in the house that you didn't do checking on. Do you understand what I'm saying, Ms. Ortega?
I understand.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't have any questions for that.
Okay. All right. I just want to point out that your eligibility date next month and your end of sentence date, we're talking about a 5 month, a little less than 5 months difference. And you do have 10 years of special parole to follow. You seem to think you don't have any responsibility in this case. The victim's account is very detailed and comes across as entirely credible, and as my colleague pointed out, substantiated by other people who were outcry witnesses and participated in the perpetration of the victimization of your own daughter. And it would seem to me that you would have some capability as a mother of apologizing for failing to protect your own child. But at this point, we're going to move into the ODS, Office of Victim Services, part of the hearing, and I'm going to caution you, Ms. Ortega, you are not to speak. So Ms. Vasquez?
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. We do have a victim who's logged on to Teams and wishes to address the board.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear.
To express to the board your wishes and concerns. Please unmute your microphone, and if you wish to have your camera on, you could also enable that, and you may begin.
Thank you. I mean, you guys pretty much said kind of like the things. I was more looking to see, I guess, if she would take accountability.
Nope.
And clearly she still doesn't take accountability, because before the other person was involved, it started with just my mom. You know, this is something that affects me the rest of my life. I have a disconnect from my emotions because of it. And the least that you could do is take accountability and serve the rest of your time. You know what you did. Regardless, you kind of try to put it on other people. You know what you did, and you need to take accountability, and you need to do some internal healing. I don't really have much to say because I'm pretty confident in the system that they're going to see that you're not fit to come back to this community.
Look at her eyes, y'all.
That's all I have to say.
Those look like evil eyes. Ooh. It
Right
looks
now,
like
her
there's
end of
like just
sentence
evil behind those
is,
eyes.
May 1st, and she does have 10 years of supervision. And based on the records that were available to us,
Y'all, she didn't start crying then. Did y'all see that? She was crying for herself earlier, but she wasn't crying now. Look at those. Child, those eyes look evil.
Looks like these crimes were perpetrated over a 4-year period of time. So thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is all that I have for this case.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, Ms. Ortega, give us a few minutes. We're going to discuss your case. Mr. Sazowski?
Yeah, so Ms. Ortega continues to deny the offenses, and when asked about what she learned from the programs and how she's changed, she wasn't really able to provide anything to me that would make me feel that she's made any change. And the nature and circumstances of this are very concerning to all of us as we read through these documents. And as we heard from the victim, the injury and the impact is going to be lifelong. So for those reasons, I cannot support today.
And, you know, for me, we're looking at good behavior. We're looking at programs completed. She's not able to articulate what she got out of the programs. And there's just a persistence on her part of denying the crime for which she was convicted. So
I added inadequate. So.
Okay, yeah, and I would say inadequate release plan. Just to note, for Ms. Ortega's purposes, the parole officers reached out 4 times to your proposed sponsor, who has failed to reply. So if this is somebody you actually talk to every day, you should ask about that. So as far as conditions for her parole supervision, I have no alcohol, and that's per the judge. Problem sexual behavior treatment in the community, no contact with minors, no contact with victim JD, halfway house placement, mental health evaluation and treatment as deemed necessary, and no contact with co-defendants Stephen D. Morrow or Stephanie DeMorrow. The person goes by both names.
I think I see another first name on here of Tiffany.
Yeah, that's what I said. Stephen or Tiffany.
Okay, and then can we just go over the conditions, the reasons for denial again, just so I have them correct?
Okay, I'll do that when I make the motion. Okay.
Perfect.
All right, so in the matter of Elisa Ortega, inmate number 402931, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: the nature and circumstances of your crimes, the injury and impact caused to the victim, inadequate evidence of offender change, and an inadequate release plan. I further move to set the following conditions for your 10 years of special parole supervision. You are not to consume any alcohol. You're to engage in problem sexual behavior treatment in the community. You would have no contact with minors. halfway house placement if needed, mental health evaluation and treatment is deemed necessary, no contact with the victim, initials JB, and no contact with your co-defendant, Stephen or Tiffany D. Morrow. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
This concludes the hearing for Lisa Ortega and then we'll pursue. For Ms. Ortega, you're all set. You'll get this in writing in the next couple of days, probably sometime by the end of next week.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do I have to go to a halfway house at the end of my sentence?
If you don't have a sponsor at that time, parole will place you in a halfway house pending you providing a sponsor. So if they're able to get in contact with your husband at residence, you'll be able to go there. If not, you'd have to provide an alternative or you would be placed in a halfway house. Yes.
All right, so you just have to get a hold of my husband?
He needs to reply to the parole officer who's already been doing outreach.
Okay, all right, no problem. Thank you.
I don't like her, y'all.
I'll tell you, she jumped out of that chair real quick for a 55-year-old supposedly suffering.
See, I don't like her. She gives fake. She gives like she's just putting on. She was unbothered by her daughter's testimony. She thinks she can have a relationship with her grandchild after what she did to her daughter. Child, bye. Look, let's see what Mandu had to say.
Bring all those physical elements. Hop right out of it. Hey, I'd be happy if I could hop out of my chair like that on any given day. You know, her daughter comes in and really just leaves a very succinct mic drop, something very powerful. She just wants to see if her mother would take accountability. And as you saw, looking at this roach, there is no soul, there is no conscience, there is nothing
At all.
You know what you did. And we find out that she was doing it to her daughter before this other man even came into the picture.
For real?
It's not clear exactly. I'll read to you the article written in 2014. And let's keep in mind, so the dates that this was occurring are from 1998 and 2001. And her daughter bravely came up, and told the police. And it wasn't until all those years later that she was finally arrested. And it took many years, by the way, for them to do that. So let me read you an article Searcher found. A New Britain couple is accused of sexually abusing a young girl more than 200 times and forcing her to watch them do it, watch them have sex. The New Britain Herald reports the allegations are a recently released warrant charging Alyssa with first-degree sexual assault, employing a minor in obscene performance. Ortega's former boyfriend is facing similar charges. The victim, now who was 23 at the time, says the abuse occurred between 1998 and 2001 when she was between 8 and 10. She came to the police 4 years before this, right, in 2010, prompting an investigation that led to the arrest last month. It took them 4 years to finally make the arrest happen. Now, I'll share a few things with you which are disturbing. Sir Richard, brought me with her co-defendant. Her co-defendant, it says here, was sentenced in 2017 to 8 years. But it says execution suspended and probation after 3. And I'm not sure if that means he got no prison time. But what I do know is that the most prison time he could have possibly gotten was a little less than 3 years because he was arrested on the street 9/11/2020 for disorderly conduct and got 90 days jail. Execution suspended. So
90 days.
He completely got away with it. And this evil, disgusting mother, she's blaming her daughter, stole my identity. Oh, she recanted her story 4 times. Oh, shut up. And then we also find out that she's somehow found a way to have a relationship with the grandchild. We don't know if it's the same.
See?
But
I was
how
telling
is that
y'all.
not terrifying? And you know what else is interesting about this case that is just not clear? You may have been looking for it. Is they never mentioned her risk assessment as a sex offender, and nor do we have any mention. And I asked her, Richard, to find it, but it's not here. If she has to register as an offender,
She should.
So, how scary is that? It's possible that she, she has 10 years of special parole. It's like, oh, I guess if there's one factor that's helpful, it's when they say that her husband, can you imagine she's married, hasn't returned her phone calls, 4 phone calls. So, she's a pathological liar. She says, at this time, I'm sure you would like to hear how remorseful I am for the crime I'm convicted of, which, by the way, she was not convicted of. She pled guilty to. Okay? I can't because I'm not guilty of the crime I'm convicted of. Why would it be?
I didn't know that.
Say, yeah, let's just give you this little slap on her sentence. What's the big deal? And then they don't show up. And it just pisses me off. They need to show up to these kinds of cases. You need to give support. You need to just be able to. I don't like the way the board handled this case. I wish the board would have. Sometimes they really get in there and they really get can put pressure, and they will yell at the person. How dare they'll say things. They do that if you see enough of these hearings. They didn't do that here. I didn't see they did that here. I felt like the survivor was alone, but she's not alone. We were able to see it. We see what's going on.
Yeah, we see it, honey.
It is clear. You have
We see it.
Cockroach of a mother scurrying around the place, evil. When everybody knows, I don't know. I have nothing else to say.
I like when he gets mad. Like when he gets mad at these cases too. Like it's refreshing to like hear his take on it. Because y'all be sitting up here getting mad too. Like especially like when you start hearing the details of what they did. Most of them don't want to tell what they did. Like because you should be ashamed of it. It's bad. You should have never did it. You can't tell what you did. You shouldn't be doing it. That's a telltale sign you're wrong, okay? But when you start hearing the details of what these people are doing, it's just like, sometimes you can't even fathom like some of the stuff that they do. Because it's like your mind doesn't operate like that. You don't think in this way, in this demonic, sick, deviant, just evil way. So sometimes it's hard for people who aren't like that to really, conceptualize how there are so many people who are like that. You kind of have like this false sense of security, that, well, I'm not like that. So, nobody else is either. Nah, child. It's a lot of evil out here in this world. And you cannot judge it just based on surface stuff, like just how they look, their gender, and all that stuff. Like you just can't do it that way. It's all spiritual. So you got to have like this spiritual sense of discernment, of knowing like how to really like assess people and situations for what it really is. It's just crazy. So let's this is like the end of that case. Let's see what they got going on. He executed 2 men in a dark alley. I don't know I don't think I've seen this one. This must have played one time when I fell asleep on it or something. Dangerous man baby throws a tantrum at his parole. I want to see this tantrum, child.
You can sit there and say that, but you are. You're throwing questions back at me, but I'm not incarcerated. I didn't commit any crimes, sir.
You ask the question, you get upset with me asking you a question, but
Do I sound upset to you? I'm not upset at all.
You sound you saying I'm defensive. You make an opinion. I made my opinion and said I could feel you sound upset to me. You just texted me that you said I feel like I'm upset.
I'm just saying, I think when people try to help you should accept it. It's their job. It's their job to help you. We're here to help you. You seem to be very defensive for no reason.
I'm not defensive.
You know?
Is something else in the back? Was something else in the back?
Yeah.
What's your point?
I'm just asking because you're saying yourself was ammunition in the back too. I mean.
Okay, yeah, and this man-child, I don't know why he thinks this is a good strategy to debate like that with the parole board. Now, the parole board does have fun with him, and you'll just have to wait to see how this parole hearing ends because, well, I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, with that, let's jump in.
Travis Douglas, 355-877.
Hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Travis Douglas, 355-877. He is serving a sentence of 3 years jail flat for violation of probation with underlying strangulation second, assault third, and criminal possession of a firearm defense weapon. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of April 25th, 2025 at 85%. There's no victim input in this case. The offender has an offender accountability plan. A review of the plan shows the offender has completed domestic violence to date. He remains on the wait list for a job, vocational, anger management, and voices to date. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system scores, the offender overall score for recidivate falls within the very high range. Mr. Douglas, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I believe I should be granted parole because I completed everything that was presented do for my domestic violence.
Not domestic violence.
For 2021 for the strangulation case I called.
Did you say strangulation?
I served my time.
Yeah. He just said domestic violence and strangulation. Y'all, I think it take a certain kind of evil to actually put your hands around somebody's neck and just like see the life just draining out of them. I can't even. Now, child, when I was in the military, we learned a lot of techniques, child. But it was like a lot of like self-defense techniques. And like admittedly, I would always go for the throat when we was in combatives. I always went for the throat. I mean, because like, to me, that's what you gotta do. Like, that was my strategy, okay? Because I'm a female. Like, a lot of times they would put us like on the mat with men, and like, as a woman, you're not gonna really outstrength a man. You're gonna have to use your strategy. You're gonna have to like be smart about your how you do it, how you defend yourself. So most of the time, y'all, I went for the throat. But I can't imagine like actually being like in a relationship with somebody and like put my hands around their neck or them putting their hands around my neck. Like, oh my God. That's a certain kind of evil right there, y'all.
Trying my best to stay out of trouble and avoid everything. I've been working, off and on jobs, throughout my incarceration. I completed my program, designated. I don't think I'm a high risk repeat offender. I think I have a rehabilitation plan. I live in a better environment now.
Yeah, in jail, in prison.
A lot has changed over the years, I guess you could say. That's much really gotta say, really.
All right, Mr. Douglas, we have some questions for you. When we're done with our questions, and no comment is not an appropriate answer. When we're done with our questions, we'll deliberate amongst ourselves and give you our decision. Okay, we'll begin with my colleague, Ms. Berry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Mr. Douglas, while I appreciate your opening statement, I'm a little baffled by what you shared with us. You said you took your program and you referred to the domestic violence program, right?
Yes, this is what I completed.
And you said that you took this in connection with the strangulation that occurred in 2021. Is that
Yes,
right?
that's the charge that I have here on the violence and probation. The chosen charge was the criminal possession of firearm, but I brought up the strangulation case from 2021. That's the
Okay. So are you negating the fact that when you were released from prison in April of 2022, that you less than a month later went and contacted the victim in this case, and you punched her in the face, you broke her passenger side window, windshield wiper, and the turn signal in front of the kids?
Yeah, that never happened.
That never happened.
Yeah, I wasn't convicted of any of those charges.
It's the behavior, sir.
Yeah, but the behavior, it wasn't behavior there. Obviously, if it's, I just told you it didn't happen. So you say it's a behavior there.
He was convicted.
He was convicted. He absolutely received an unconditional discharge.
Luke was convicted for the charge that you just said. You said I called assaulter for breaking their car window and all that stuff. I was not convicted of those charges.
But you were convicted for what? What were you convicted for? Because they subbed it down.
I was convicted for criminal possession of a firearm.
Right, and you got 34
For
months.
this case. Yeah, for this case. All those alleged charges that.
Okay. So according to my records, sir,
He's combative, y'all.
you violated your protective order in 2022. You got an assault third, and you received a breach of peace. So they subbed all those charges down with the kids and all that stuff to a breach of peace. Where you received an unconditional. But that's what does that mean?
No, once you finish, I'm gonna go.
It does not negate the behavior, sir. You were in contact with this victim of your underlying the strangulation. You were in contact.
I don't have no strangulation with this victim you're talking about. I was never in contact with no victim. So the information you have is false.
Okay. So Mr. Douglas, here's the long and short of it. So you come back in on a violation of probation with serious charges underlying. Now you're upping the ante by having weapons. Why did you have a gun?
It was a pellet gun, and the pellet gun wasn't found on me. It was found in the vehicle I was in.
Okay. So again, so now you're upping the ante by having a gun. It wasn't your gun. You didn't commit this assault. So you're back on a violation. Then you come in prison with a new charge for being in possession of a firearm. You wait out high. You receive 3 disciplinary infractions, 2 of which are for fighting.
One
is for fighting, 1 is an assault that you just got in July, and then you have an interfering with an. Long story short,
I don't like him, y'all.
Stacking up. They're not adding up your criminal history, the fact that you rate out high, and I really do not see very much evidence of change, sir. Explain to us how you changed.
Okay, so the rebuttal, what you said you don't see much change. I completed the domestic violence program. You just brought up an assault ticket that happened in July that was falsely given to me.
Y'all, do y'all see this man's attitude? Oh, I don't like that.
I'm going to interrupt for a second. He was found not guilty.
Yes. And I served 10 days
in the record.
So,
put it out there for the record. Thank you.
So the previous assault that you talk of, I didn't assault anyone. The Tampa State Security, that ticket for me falling asleep at 12:30 in the morning with a hot pot on. That wasn't nothing. It wasn't no Tampa State Security. I haven't been showing no history of violence. I got one fight ticket. I got one fight ticket since I've been incarcerated for 2 years. This is a hostile environment. Everyone gets to a fight. I got one fight ticket. As in for, you say you don't see change, how don't you see change? What can you put on a guideline that hasn't shown change? I don't have no contact with no victims. I don't have no victim input in anything. Like, so I don't understand what you're trying to say, no rehabilitation going on. I did my program, I stayed out of trouble, I have a good environment to go home to, I have a support system. The gun you claimed that it's a pellet gun. It wasn't used for anything. It got found that was in it. It didn't get found on my possession or any of that. So I understand how it went from saying you haven't seen no change. So what do I got to do to show change? I did the program. I'm not in contact with victims. I'm staying out of trouble. So I got flat time from the court. So if they felt like I was a repeat offender or felt like I was a threat to society, I don't think I was going to 3-5-year sentence.
Well,
that would make sense.
That's not necessarily true.
I just don't like
The fact of the
him.
matter is
Ugh.
that you've been given eight
Got a bad
opportunities on
attitude.
community supervision and you don't do well because you failed all 8 of them. You had 8 opportunities out, and I'm telling you what I'm reading, sir. You come into the prison, you rate out high, you're on probation with a weapon. I don't care whose weapon it was. You were convicted of it, you pled guilty to it. That's what we see. We have information that you were in contact with the victim whose initials are JR, and that you were involved in some violence to her in front of the children. And you have tickets that say, your last ticket, I don't care what it was for, in June of this year for interfering with the safety and security, falling asleep with a hot pot on. You still had a fight a year ago. All of those things combined.
One fight.
Okay, I'm all set. Thank you.
Ms. Connery.
So, Mr. Douglas, I want to go over and get you to elaborate on a couple of statements you made when you were interviewed by the parole officer.
I was rushed by the parole officer.
Say that again?
I was rushed by the parole officer. I was interviewed by her. She rushed me. But go ahead.
Okay, so this is good then. So we can elaborate on some of your statements. This works out well then. Let's just say, well, you were on special parole when you were arrested, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And you had a number of violations while you were on special parole. When I looked, you were in and out a few different times for things like criminal trespass.
There's little petty things going on. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say they were misdemeanors, right? Criminal trespass 1, driving under suspension, forgery, an assault 3rd, disorderly conduct. These are all things that have caused you to be in and out of the Department of Corrections, right?
Yes.
Back in on your parole. So whether they're petty or not, they're still incidents of poor decision making,
Yes.
right? That have resulted in convictions. So I go back through, and one of the avenues that Ms. Berry was going down with you was, suitability for parole is showing offender change, showing how things, how you change, you can make better decisions in the community. So I look at some of your statements to the parole officer. You said, one is, I have good control of my life. I need to find stable employment. And then you say, you reported that you characterize yourself as a spur-of-the-moment type person and a planner depending on the situation. So what does it mean to you to have good control of your life?
I didn't have good control in like the age I'm at now and the space I'm at now. I understand like the maturity level, and so when I say that I have control over my actions, like as before, I just do the blame game, the point finger at everyone and say, oh, this is happening because this person did this or this person did that. So when I say I take accountability now, it's like I understand what I'm facing, I understand what's in the head, and I understand my life is for. So when I say I take account, I got more control over my life now, where it's like I take 100% responsibility for everything that take place in my life because it's my decision. So that's why I mean I take accountability.
Okay, and that is taking accountability, is they're your decisions, good, bad, or otherwise, they're your decisions. So when you say that there are petty things like the trespass one, the criminal mischief. Those are all, it's all for decision making that violates the law and puts you back in jail.
Yes, and just to rebuttal of what you say, and my life story is like, I have gotten the bad end of the stick a lot. That you look at my resume, where I got there's a lot of things that happened that, got, taken out of hand and stuff that happened because I'm not a good person. So
I didn't understand you. Say that again. There was a lot of things that what?
I think a lot of things I got, misinterpreted.
Short end of the stick.
Oh, misinterpreted.
Yeah, I got the bad end of the stick. It's how the system is formatted. So I'm not trying to downplay any case I've gotten in the past and anything. I take a full responsibility and accountability for the past, but I'm moving forward. I'm trying to move forward. That's what my life is at now, is moving forward. And for someone to say that they haven't seen the rehabilitation with me, that's kind of like a slap to my face, because I have been doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. I have been staying out of trouble as much as possible. Is this the household environment? Things are going to happen again. I'm not going around fighting people. I'm not drinking. I'm not smoking. I'm not doing tattoos. I'm not going around hitting people, assaulting people. It's just not gonna happen. I'm doing everything I do to get back home. I moved to a different environment. I live in another side now. So I'm trying to go home, get my life together, go to school, take care of my kids. I'm not trying to be sitting in no one's prison. I'm fighting for my life. So that's what
I don't think there's any of us that would disagree that, being incarcerated is not easy. Right, lots of people in small spaces, lots of people that don't get along. No, it's not. And you know what? It shouldn't be easy, because we don't want you to want to go back. So it's not supposed to be easy. That's some of the point of it. Part of taking some of the programs is to recognize why you're making poor decisions, why you respond to certain situations. So when we look at, let's just talk about, you're on probation for domestic violence. You pick up a new charge that you get an unconditional discharge for, but it still violates your probation. Now, you were out in the community about a month, you were supposed to be going to a domestic violence program, where the program is intended to help you have better relationships, recognize cues. So, and then you've done it since you've been incarcerated. So talk to me about how that program is going to benefit you in the community in terms of how you have.
He's not a benefit to any community.
How you respond to difficult situations.
Honestly, the program actually was beneficial to me, because I actually picked up a couple of things throughout the program, because before I got to the program, there's a couple of things that I noticed that I didn't recognize that was like red flags in relationships. Like toxic, things that lead up to bad relationships, and I actually learned other alternatives to use when I get upset about something, like a disagreement, as in it comes to communication skills, or as in how to handle certain things, rather than just going back and forth or the argumentative side. So, as in for the program, I learned how to speak, how to slow things down, how to take the time to try to hear the other person out. That is always it's not always one side. It's two sides.
What do you mean by that?
Basically, like, not being one sided in a conversation when you communicate with someone. Like, basically, like, if you have a disagreement, not always, someone's gotta be right or wrong. You could be at a medium sometimes, rather than always choosing who's right or wrong. You can be at a medium. So that's why I'm so in the program too. Like, so that, like, if you disagree with someone, it doesn't mean that it has to go further. Like, heated argument, it could decrease. And you walk away from it.
It doesn't have to escalate, right? And say just because you're louder doesn't make you righter.
Yes, basically.
Right? So you talked about being able to recognize some red flags. So reflect back on some of your domestic violence situations. What red flags do you recognize about yourself?
My first red flag I had, like, I noticed, like, I did like a big span of time incarcerated from like 16 to 23. So when I came home, I didn't really know how to deal with a lot of emotions. Like, a lot of emotions I dealt with in this environment. So when I got out of society, I was dealing with people I didn't even know how to deal with, emotions and stuff like that. So my first altercation I had in domestic was started like with a disagreement, an argument and stuff like that. And they got to shoving over a purse. Like, she threw a purse at me and then I took the purse and threw it back at her, and that's when the first escalated at my first domestic I ever called. And then once like after the domestic, and I went to jail for actually 8 months for that. I got out. And then
y'all,
people
I'm trying to keep it together.
They see what was going on. They actually use that to, as a control method too, which is kind of domestic. I learned in domestic class that controlling, trying to control someone using that was domestic too. So I learned the program too.
All right, do you see how you try to control situations also?
Yes.
Okay.
Like being controlling. In a way, like in the past, like I was controlling in the past, like not wanting to like go certain places or certain things on the social media and stuff like that. But I grew out of that as years went on, so that's it.
All right, so going forward, I mean, and you have children, right? You have 2 girls.
Yeah, I got 2 daughters.
Right? So, it's important for you to be a role model. Show how to, present what good relationships look like, good parenting looks like. What does that look like to you going forward?
I definitely gotta. I keep contact with my daughters now, but I'm not the same. I don't allow them to see me while I'm here because I know my daughter's coming to support them. So I don't allow them to see me while I'm here. So that's kind of like hard. So I just talk to them by phone. But the person I was before, like not who I am today is a whole different man. I know everyone says this, but who I was before, I wouldn't want my daughters, messing with someone like that. Like that was just quick tempered and short spanning. But what as time went on, the system and stuff like that, and I knew the best thing for me I had to do was get my overall freedom. And what I say by that is I did as in like my mind, as in the whole package. You can't just be free out of prison. You gotta be free overall. Because if I go out in society and I still got my mind trapped and thinking that let the past affect my future, then I'm still gonna be living in that same
But you have to learn from your past.
Yeah,
you can't keep making those same mistakes. Keep thinking that.
Like I was saying before, I was telling someone a couple of years ago, it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. I started my life pretty bad, I started off bad, but as it's finishing, it's turning around. It's actually turning around. It hasn't been much time for you guys to see the turnaround, but I see the turnaround because of my life. And I know a lot of things that I probably got in trouble for in the past, it won't happen on that. I won't, some things don't trigger me. I don't take interest in them.
Okay. What you use the word trigger. What does trigger you? What do you have to be aware of?
Something that would trigger me for what? As in what?
Anything. In a relationship, in the community, driving down the street.
Honestly, nowadays, me being 33 years old now, I'm about to be 34. It's like in experiencing the things I experienced in my life so far, it's not really too much things that trigger me anger-wise now because I done been through a lot already. So a trigger for me now, it'll have to be something drastic. I gotta be something drastic to be triggered from something now because especially after dealing with this Osborne, the triggers. I think the bar will go up. So I don't really think it's home. I don't have a problem with drugs. I don't have a problem with alcohol. I don't have my problems usually, like I told you in the interview, my problems usually came from previous relationships dealing with the wrong people. So my biggest trigger I think is smaller my circle, less people.
Okay, so narrowing your circle of who you get involved with.
Yeah, less people.
You have had, you had some struggles, in your early childhood. You bounced around from here to there, then you had that assault back in, what was that, 2008? You were what, 17 then?
Yeah, just turned 17.
Yeah. So when you look, when you look forward, how do you see your life?
I see my life actually good. Like I'm saying, like my first 33 years of my life, I didn't really get to do nothing. See anything. Like my whole life has been seeing Connecticut and in and out of systems and programs and stuff like this. Like, so what I see my life now is like I want to travel. Like I want to go to school for electrician. So that's what I'm doing now. I already got my GED and stuff now. So I want to go to school for electrician. So like everything's going electrical in the world. So that's where I'm going, electrician. So that would be my girlfriend's plan on doing. So like I'm going to go to school for electrician. That's my plan. Yeah.
And I know that we talked about this, so you have the 2 disciplinary reports. You had 15 overall. In your view, do you think this is the best behavior you've had while you've been incarcerated overall?
No. I think I had times where I had good time, good behavior, but I probably got a ticket for a situation where I got into a fight with someone. And usually, when I get to a fight with someone, it's not me. I don't really come out and mingle with everyone, so it's usually someone else in here. And I just defend myself. I don't have no assault tickets. I don't like, and the other ticket I got for it came from safety security. Like I went to sleep at like 12:30 in the morning, and the hotline was on, and they went to the box back. So
yeah. And my only, and I say this to other people, not just you, the rules are for a reason, right? Like, because as you described, a lot of people, a lot of things happening, people not getting along. The rules are to keep some semblance of order, right? So nobody's getting hurt and everybody is, getting to their programs and doing what they need to do. So I know that, you refer to things as, not, at least my impression of what I'm hearing is, things are not such a big deal. Well, I say to you that the rules are there for a reason.
Yeah, I know. Everything's in place for a reason.
Exactly. So let's talk about your release plan then. So you want to release and live with your current girlfriend?
Yes.
And this is a new area that you're releasing to?
Keep them in there.
I'm kind of familiar with it because my sister lived there. I lived with my sister there briefly. She lived in another stuff for a while. So I'm kind of familiar with it a little bit, but yes, I think it's better for me because like the city, like we've been in the city environment, been around a lot of things going on, and it never really like worked out. Like I don't like people being around me and stuff happening. And
but you've never lived there, right?
No.
This is a different area. Yeah. All right. And your relationship with your new girlfriend, were you guys together before you were incarcerated?
Yes.
Okay. So, and have you talked about how this living arrangement is going to work out going forward? You don't have a great track record. So you've talked about it?
Yes.
All right. And you have a protective order in place with one of the victims, JR, until 2082?
Yes. I honestly, like,
You say 2082?
I don't talk to her or speak to her. I haven't spoken to her since the case happened. I don't understand. Like they said, one of the officers said I had a.
Oh, thanks, Rico. I don't even think I listened to it just to see if it was coming out clear. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna I'll mute my microphone because that's probably what it is. It's probably just picking up what's coming out the speaker as well. Hold on. I could probably do? I could probably just let me stop sharing it. I'm gonna share it again and see if I just did something wrong with the audio. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, I probably just need to mute. All right. Sorry about that. Here we go again. Thank you for telling me.
violation of the protective order not only happened from the new charge, so that violation got from the new charge I call. I don't have no violations as in contact with no victims.
And then you talked about being, seeking out an opportunity to go to school to be an electrician. Have you
Yes,
looked
that's
into
the
that
plan.
at all?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's actually my release plan. I was gonna try to go to Port Chester and Waterbury, actually, to do that.
All right, and I'm gonna just circle back. I should have done this before we got to the release plan, but you do have a new charge of carrying a firearm, right? And I know you say it's just a pellet gun and it was in the car, but the way the report reads is that they saw you with the bag prior to stopping the vehicle. So hence the bag belonged to you. What's contained in the bag is your possession. Now, you realize that you are prohibited from carrying any type of firearm, anything that projects.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay, so why did you have it?
Once again, I did not have it on me. It wasn't mine. It was in the vehicle that was in. I understand what it says in the police report. Every police report, it says every offender that came in here, it says that's what it says in every police report you have up there. It's not one's going to say this guy was across the street and the gun was across the street and he was there. That's not going to happen. But
okay, did you know what was in the bag? Did you know what was in the bag?
No, it was like 9:45 at night. It was a music video shoot we went to. Like my people, they do like music videos, they do movies and stuff like that. So it wasn't just me in the car. It was me, my girlfriend, my brother, and a cameraman. So it wasn't just me in the car. It wasn't just like, oh, pull over, this is him taking the bag is on him. It wasn't like that. They searched the car and found the bag in the car. And then they put the bag on me. That's why I hired a lawyer and fought the case, because I'm like, that's not what happened.
All right, but they let everybody else go because you said the bag belonged to you.
Yes, they didn't even question no one else. They just took the bag out the car and threw it on me because I had a warrant for my arrest already. So they was already arresting me anyway. So they just basically took the bag out of the car. They didn't question the driver. They didn't question no other passengers. They just threw the bag on me.
Okay. All right, so let's okay. So we're going to just leave that at that, right? I mean, that's what you say happened, and we have the police report that differs from that, but we'll move forward from that. What do you think? Now, you've been on special parole for a long time, like we said earlier, back and forth, in and out of jail, finally finished that special parole. It finally ended. So now you're out in the community. What do you think you need to live successfully in the community?
Job.
Okay.
My family. Money. Well, me personally, I think education, because that's how I plan on furthering mine, get my money. In a medium support system.
I did notice that you had a few jobs before you came in. You were at Trader Joe's for a bit and Bizzuto's, but you had some problems at both locations?
I ain't have problems at Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's, I left there because I moved back to New Haven. So
okay, is that when you started working at
transportation?
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I transferred to Bizzuto's.
Okay.
And I ended up getting reincarcerated.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And but you had some struggles at Bizzuto's. Was it an attendance thing?
Yeah, the first time I was there was attendance. My first got there, and I got rehired there. And the second time I got terminated was I got reincarcerated. I came for the strangulation case. That was the first time, and then yeah, that's basically it.
Are you a good employee? You think you're that type of person that doesn't hire you back?
Yeah, I'm a worker. Like I'm always someone to get it. Like I'm a working person. Like I always keep a job. So it's not like I be out there and just. I'm that person that take my free time lightly. So usually I'm always doing something like working out or going to the gym or working or something. So I always keep a job. Like employment is something that's important to me.
Anything else?
No, that was it for me.
Okay, you know, I had a note. So you're able, it said that you learned in domestic violence, this was in the evaluation, that you learned to identify anger cues. Can you tell me what one or two of those would be?
Is that anger cues?
Cues when you're getting angry, maybe
Oh, yeah,
cues
like
when
basically,
someone
like, I can tell if I'm getting angry because I get quiet. Like I probably get quiet and I stop talking. But now, like probably these times, if I'm in the say I'm somewhere and we're talking about basketball or sports or something like that, for instance, and it's getting heated, I walk away. I leave the conversation now. Like I figure like some people, you know, don't like when you walk away from conversations and stuff like that. But I feel like when I walk away from the conversation, I'll be more relaxed because I don't really care about the conversation no more. I just go do what I do. I read my book, watch TV, work out or something, and I'd be like.
So you're right now, your projected parole eligibility date is April. Your end of sentence date is roughly August. So that would put, if you were to be found suitable for release, that's 4 months on parole. How do you think you do with that?
I think that would be a walk in the park. With my plan I have when I go home, like the plan I have, like I then like when I go to school, going to school, the environment I'm in, my like, you know, the people in my life, my girlfriend, you know, things I have going forward, I think that would be like just a breeze. Like I don't see myself reoffending even if past the 4 months. I don't see myself reoffending period in my life. I don't see me getting arrested again at all for anything.
It's a good attitude. So why is you have had relationships before when you've come out of prison and, you know, been on probation and parole and done programs. So I guess I'll ask again. So what would be so different this time?
The difference with me now is the maturity level, my mind frame, my mindset, my environment, me wanting more for myself, me understanding that life is bigger than prison cell, and you know, not making the decisions that's going to lead me here. I know, you know, making bad decisions is going to lead to one place. It's going to be here. So I don't see no point of fighting for your, like, you know, to get out of this type of situation, to go backwards and result back to it. Like I didn't hire, you know, attorneys or fight for my freedom or speak my piece and try to get a flat overall sentence to go home and reoffend to get back on paper. That don't make sense. So for somebody to do that, I think that's kind of insane for somebody to even want that.
You know, we often tell individuals in your situation that parole and probation, you know, they can be very supportive, very helpful, help you want to go to Porter and Chester, kind of point you in that right direction where maybe you can get some financial assistance or get involved with a program that will support that continuation of your education. Have you ever looked at parole and probation as actually an organization that could benefit you and help you move forward with your life?
Yes, I use the smart business at one time. They helped me get an apartment before. Like they did like some type of program that was helping me get an apartment. So it wasn't bad. Like, you know, parole wasn't placed in my life to, you know, make my life worse. You know, it was placed there, like you said, for rules. You know what I mean? So
right, there's accountability with everything in life.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like, you know, it's a bumpy road, but I made it here. Like I'm here. It's a bumpy road, but I'm here.
You know, you are 33 years old, have quite an extensive criminal history, right? This is your second firearms charge, and you score very high for risk to recidivate. You know, it is by the assessment, you know, you're going to be a little bit of a struggle.
I mean, that's what they have in the system. They have, like, statistically, it says that I would reoffend. Statistically, they have on paper, but that's not my brain. That's not me. So They can have whatever they want on paper, but that doesn't mean nothing.
Well, you realize that your success is our success. So if you're successful, everybody wins.
Yes, I understand that 100%.
All right, Mr. Douglas, thank you.
Thank you. Mary. So Mr. Douglas, I'm going to attempt to clear up some confusion that I think we have in the room.
All right.
How many domestic violence victims have you had?
Four?
Yeah. So I think the confusion is you've had multiple cases and
Yeah, he had to think about it. He's like, how many do I have? Child, this is crazy. You can tell, like, the ones he say are man babies, they usually have a lot of like violence towards women. I'm picking up on this pattern, y'all. Picking up on it.
and maybe it appears that it's the same person when it's not. You've had multiple. Yeah. So, I mean, are you able to take responsibility now for your actions in the past that led to your domestic violence arrests?
Yes, I never once said that I didn't take accountability for anything in the past.
Okay, so your underlying offenses for strangulation, second, and assault, third, you committed those acts?
Yes, I was convicted of them.
Well, that's not what I asked you.
Oh, yeah,
right?
I mean, if I say different, it's gonna be looked at as like, well, I have on paper it says you did. So, I mean, in court of law, and what you have there says I did. So I did.
Well, I mean, we know that you were convicted, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because we see the sentences in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
But they're two very different questions. I don't need to ask you if you were convicted. I already know that. I asked you if you committed those offenses.
Yes.
You were on special parole at the time of this offense for conspiracy to assault first. What was that case about?
Conspiracy to assault?
Yeah.
To attempt assault? From 2008? Yeah. Oh, yep. Yeah. That was when I was 16 or 17. I was with like my cousin and my brother, and it was like a group of kids across the street. Like it was like, go back and forth. Whatever. My cousin, he took out a gun and started shooting at him, and we ran away.
And you were convicted of shooting at them. Why?
No, I was convicted of conspiracy to attempt assault first.
Right. Well, I read the police report, and they identified you as the shooter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and that was the trial, and they identified me as not. Once they did their job, they seen I wasn't a shooter. Yeah.
Well, they didn't. No, they didn't. I mean, nowhere does it say that you weren't the shooter. What did your cousin get? What sentence did your cousin get?
He didn't give him. He didn't give him nothing. He actually dropped his case because he got a bigger case. So that's why he dropped his case with him. Yeah.
So the breach of peace that my colleague attempted to speak to you about was a different person than the victim in your strangulation case. Right. So did you commit the breach of peace?
No.
Okay.
That
so
was
what
a revenge
happened?
call. That was a revenge call from her because she got convicted of a domestic call that I called on her. So what happened with that case was she committed a domestic case against me where she got arrested and convicted, and she called the cops on me as a rebuttal call, trying to get me in trouble because I was on special parole. So she called the cops and said that I did that. The case that she case with the busted car window and stuff like that. She claimed that happened a month later. So the cops, instead of doing an investigation, they put a warrant for my arrest instead, without doing no investigation of this. They put a warrant for my arrest. Once I told them what happened, I called the cops on her. She did domestic with me. She got arrested for assaulting me and chasing me from Meriden to New Haven. So he did a revenge call. And once they investigated it and seen what was going on, it's like, oh, okay, this girl is actually, he's right. I'm right. So they're not going to sit here and just give it to me and say you're right. But
you know you were convicted, right? You do know you were convicted. Okay.
That's why, the charges was reckless endangerment, risk of injury, all this amazing stuff that she alleged. They bumped all this stuff down to a breach of peace because they know it didn't happen. They seen the evidence. That's why they brought it down to a breach of peace.
They could have dismissed it. Why wouldn't they have dismissed it?
How are they going to dismiss something where I'm on special parole?
What do you
Then
mean?
I got,
It
and I got
happens
other
every
charges.
day. We see that every day.
I got a strangulation case, 2021,
Yeah.
right? That we all here for. That I didn't want to cop out to at all, but I had to cop out to because of special parole.
You didn't have to. What do you mean you
I
had
did
to?
have to cop out to it. If I don't cop out to a case on special parole, right? Where do I stay? Incarcerated. I had 3.5 years left special parole at this time. COVID started. They said, take this 14 months or go to trial. So I take the 14 months, I go home, I'm free. If I go to trial, I'll stay in jail for 3 years. It's a no-brainer, I'm gonna go home.
Okay, so why were you arrested for that then?
Arrested for what? Which one?
Well, you're going back to the strangulation now, so we'll go back to
Yes.
that. Why were you arrested?
I mean, I was arrested because the cops were called. She called the cops for me.
Was that another revenge call? I'm asking you.
Oh no, that was a real that was a domestic call. That situation happened. It wasn't as extreme, but yeah, that was a real domestic case. That happened. If something happens, I'm gonna admit to something. I'm 33 years old. That case happened. The case with the criminal possession of ammunition. I mean, criminal possession of a firearm. Did they come? Did they arrest me? Yes. Was it a gun in the car? Obviously, it was. Was it mine?
Yeah.
So I don't know where y'all want me to go with it. It's like y'all want me to take accountability and admit some stuff. Yes, it happened. So it's nothing else I can do. Like moving forward, what can I do in the past? I can't go back and change the past. I could go back and be like, oh, it happened.
You can learn from it, certainly.
I did learn from it. What more can I learn?
You can make better choices. I mean, when I get in a car with my sister, I don't have to worry that there's a gun in the car. If you're saying
I
it
won't
was
have to worry
his,
about that either. I won't have to worry about that no more either.
yeah, but that's my point. Like, you know, you made poor choices again if you chose to hang out with people who carry guns. So yeah, that's why you asked why we go back to the past. This is why.
If someone's carrying a pellet gun for a video shoot, hey, now if it was a real loaded gun in there, then I'll probably be like, oh, there's a gun in the car. It was an unloaded pellet gun in the car for a video shoot that was in a handbag.
And there was ammunition in the car. What were the bullets for?
They said there was ammunition. They said it was there. So it wasn't my bag. So it's probably like, is something else in the bag that's in there? Was it something else in the bag?
What's your point?
I'm just asking because you saying he said was ammunition in the bag too. I mean, was I charged with ammunition too?
I mean, we make deals all the time.
I'm just asking a question. I'm just asking questions.
Why did you do so poorly on special parole?
I don't think I did poorly. I think that
you did poorly.
You know, I think I had some, I violated it for misdemeanors. Yes, but I didn't reoffend and catch no big charges or cases, as in I'm pretty sure that database that I have, that the reoffender thing I have, people that in my situation reoffend and catch way bigger cases or something way drastic. Me?
Well, I would say strangulation second is pretty drastic.
Yeah, it is drastic.
And so is criminal possession. Yeah. They're all of them. I mean,
that's and then again, that's 4 years ago. It's 2021, it's 2025. Yeah, going over a case that happened 4 years ago. Did anyone else get charged with anything else close to that since 4 years ago? No, I haven't. So y'all going over a case from 2021 and y'all saying, oh, yeah, we need to see change. I haven't caught a case like that ever again. So, and I knew about ever.
You've been incarcerated for 33. You've been incarcerated for a long time, sir.
Yes, I have.
We don't want to see you come back. So we're here to help you. You seem to be very defensive for no reason.
I'm not defensive.
You can sit there and say that, but you are. You're throwing questions back at me, but I'm not incarcerated. I didn't commit any crimes, sir.
You asked the question. You get upset with me asking you a question back.
Do I sound upset to you? I'm not upset at all.
You sound you saying I'm defensive. You making an opinion. I just made my opinion and said I could feel you sound upset to me. You just said to me that you said I feel like I'm upset.
I'm just saying, I think when people try to offer you help, you should accept it. It's their job. It's their job to help you. Are there any more questions? All right. So this time we're going to deliberate about your case. You can listen to our deliberation and we'll get back to you shortly with our decision.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Beery, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am not going to support Mr. Douglas's discretionary parole. He rates out very high. I'm happy to hear that he aspires to do things differently with his life, and that he's benefited from participating in the programs. However, the nature of this offense and his criminal history as being on probation and special parole when he committed the offense, in my opinion, renders him suitable for discretionary parole.
Thank you, Ms. Berry. Ms. Palmieri?
So I don't disagree with all that Ms. Berry has outlined. He does rate very high, and Mr. Douglas has a long history. I counted 5 failures on special parole alone. And then we have this new, that is just a cursory count. And then he's got the violation of probation. I look all the way back to his first arrest, which is what placed him on special parole for, and he was 16, 17 years old at the time, coming out of, kind of a rough upbringing. He's had a number of domestic violences. He's taken domestic violence a few times. I do hear Mr. Douglas acknowledging what he needs to change about himself, how he needs to manage himself in relationships going forward. So I do hear some change. I think it took a little bit to dig it out of him. He is a little bit defensive, for whatever reason he sees. He has done okay. He's got the 2 disciplinary reports. It's not horrible, but we do have people come with none.
Right.
Right? The rules are met for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm pleased that he took the domestic violence program. He got a good evaluation. There's some other programs on his OAP, anger management and voices, that I do think would definitely benefit Mr. Douglas in his mission to remain in the community without any supervision, without any new arrests, and to live peacefully. So although I do see a lot of change, although I do hear his explanations of things and his desires to further himself productively in the community, I do think before he's released, he would benefit from the other programs on his OAP, anger management, voices, and even begin like that whole vocational piece. So I don't find him suitable for parole today. I would say inadequate institutional program participation. The other program.
He did, just so that he did take those during his prior incarceration. He took anger management and he took voices.
Oh, right. But he's also taken domestic violence before. It doesn't mean he can't take them again.
This is his 3rd time. That's fine.
Yeah.
Right. And I counted 6 parole violations.
I said I just did it.
Oh,
Right. Right.
Overly
No,
specific.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
5 is,
yeah,
That's
it's
enough. Right.
It's too many,
it is.
right? So I just briefly kind of looked at the minutes and made a note, because I was like, how could he still be working on that special parole?
Right.
But so anyways, for me,
Your reasons, tell me.
our inadequate institutional program participation, I think he would definitely benefit some more programming. He was on probation when he committed the
And
incident
special parole.
offense,
Yeah.
and his criminal history, I guess.
What were your reasons?
The nature, it's criminal history, and on probation and special parole. All of it combined, he had a lot going on. At his own admission, he had outstanding warrants when he received this new conviction for the weapon. And I just think he had a lot going on.
Yeah. Okay. In the matter of Travis Douglas, MA number 355877, I'll make a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: the nature and circumstance of the current offense, inadequate program participation, offense committed while on probation and special parole, and criminal history. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Mr. Douglas, we wish you the best.
That's all right. I eat less in like a couple of months, so I'm gonna deal with no one at all. So it's a win-win for me.
It is, yeah.
So, Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
you know, if you're serious about going to Porter and Chester, these are things you can start working on before you get out. So,
Yeah,
you know,
but
it would be beneficial, it would be productive. You
I mean,
seem to be in
beneficial
the
to me
right-
is my freedom. You know,
Yep.
so I feel
but
like
you
this
seem to
whole
be
this
in the
whole thing right
mindset.
here. Yeah, but you know, this I already knew I wasn't getting accepted anyway, but I still wanted to show up to speak anyway. I already know how the system works.
Yeah.
It's not gonna slow me down, but y'all still have a good rest of your day and stuff like that, though. You heard me? And you need to work with yourself.
This concludes the hearing for Travis Douglas, 355-877.
Wait,
No parole for tape.
Okay,
No parole for tape.
so,
No parole for tape. None.
Okay, I mean, you just don't drink the water. You can't make it up. Can you imagine standing up at the end of the parole hearing and saying that and point, you need to work on yourself. It's the parole board. It's like, you know, and at the end there, she said, huh? What? And I don't worry, I waited to see if there was any more talk or a hot mic, but they cut the sound. We don't know what happened at the end of that, but come on. It's like, I wish they could do something. See, in Louisiana, they have a warden sitting there most of the time. If not a warden, they have a CO. It's like they should do that in Connecticut, because the disrespect that these parolees show, the parole board of all people, it just tells you everything you need to know. If this is how he acts at his parole hearing, can you imagine what he's doing to the women in his lives, to everyone in his lives? Strangulation, that's what he gets violated for. And he has a long record. Sir Richard shows here, October 27, 2016, July 7, 2018, November 4, 2019, January 2020, February 2021. I mean, sentence after sentence after sentence where it's assault, strangulation, DV, illegal operation of vehicle, goes on and on and on. And now, and then even they say possession of, I was it, but blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, you're a criminal and you're a baby. And you literally can't control it. You need more programs, man. And you know he's going to get out. His full term date is what a maximum sentence is September 1st, 2025. So he had a considerable amount of time riding on this. Oh man, you can't make it up. You know, we do have an appeal, Sir Richard, popped up on this. For that initial crime they were talking about, that of course he's denying this and that and that and this from 2011. We're not going to go through it because, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if we should. The point is going through it, but I can put it in a link if you're curious. What are we supposed to say? I mean, I think we just saw the parole hearing of a man-child, and a dangerous man-child. And these things go, I just can't. I don't have patience for DV. I don't have patience for strangulation. It's like, go pick on someone your own size. I just don't. But you see it. You see his temper here. You can't control yourself in a parole hearing. You can only imagine the type of terror that he reigns in his household. But they just keep giving little sentences. Why? Obviously he's got nothing. He's learned nothing. It's at what point do you give a little bit of a longer sentence? And this is his best behavior. Keep in mind, this is him on his best behavior. So, what can you do? We'll see him back probably at a revocation hearing in a few years. I mean, it's going to be like 15, 16, it's be a long time till he's out anyways. But I guess 18, 19 months. But hopefully, I mean, I intend to still be doing this. So, make sure you hit the subscribe notification bell to get the updates, because we do keep track of our inmates. And with that, I will let you go.
You can sit there and say that, but you are. You're throwing questions back at me, but I'm not incarcerated. I didn't commit any crimes, sir.
You asked a question. You get upset with me asking you a question about.
Do I sound upset to you? I'm not upset at all.
You sound like you saying I'm defensive. You make an opinion. I just made my opinion and said, I could feel you sound upset to me. You just said to me that you said, I feel like
Hold on, y'all can't hear me. My bad. I was just saying it shows that I watched these, but I don't remember watching them. They must have been on and I probably fell asleep or something. Look at this guy. My daughter made it up, even though he's a repeat offender. He goes nuts at the Return of the Man Child. I think I want to see this one. I don't remember seeing this one.
Address.
Okay.
then you need to call my mother.
I already did that and I spoke to your brother also. That's why these 2 recommendations were made.
Why in the hell would I go to one?
I'm about to speed it up. Yeah, it's hard. Like, it's hard for me to listen to stuff at regular speed. I mean, granted, I'm just like in here writing and stuff, but like, it's hard to listen to stuff at regular speed. That's like, come on now. We ain't got all that. We ain't got time. We're gonna listen to it at 1.5 speed. Let's see how it sounds. Let's see how it sounds at 1.5 speed when they lying and carrying on in these parole hearings, child. Here we go. How long is this one? Let's see. This is like an hour. So we're gonna cut it down we'll cut it down a little bit.
Hi, Barry.
Where do you want to go then, Darren?
You need to lower your voice, partner.
I gotta make sure you can hear me because we're on video here. I have to speak up so I can hear you and you can hear me. I'm not raising my
I haven't done anything. All that court and stuff in court was thrown out. It was nolly and non-judicial discharge.
Correct. And we're not that. She wants to know, where do you want to be housed? You wanted me to speak to your mother and speak to your brother, and I did. And these are the 2 options they gave me. Do you have a preferential place you want to be placed at? You can't go with your mother and you can't go with your brother. I spoke to them like you asked me to.
So where the hell am I supposed to go?
And you might remember this hearing, and that's because we played it a handful of months ago, and I'm only bringing it back to you because Sir Richard pointed out that he has returned. So we are going to watch the initial part in case you haven't seen it. If you already have, feel free to fast forward to about the 15-minute mark for hearing number 2. Just remember, something shocking does happen at the end of this hearing. I'll unpack it with some additional details in between. With that, let's jump in.
Okay, we're here for your revocation hearing, so we're going to get started with that. Good morning, I'm P.O. Meisier, hearing examiner for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. This is our revocation hearing, Mr. Sims Derrick, number 300-964. Today's March 12, 2024. This hearing is being conducted via video at the BOP Central Office in Osborne Correctional Institution. This is a public hearing. Public access to hearings available via video live stream. Can you please state to me your full name and DOC inmate number for the record?
Derek Sons,
And what's your inmate number?
300-964.
You counsel here today? Please identify yourself.
Attorney Alfonso Sorrento, public defender with the parole revocation unit on behalf of Mr. Clemens this morning.
This is a revocation hearing to determine whether you have violated the conditions of your release. I will review and make findings of fact of each charges against you. The state, not you, has responsibility to prove the allegations by a preponderance of evidence, that is, the better weight of evidence must establish that more probable than not the allegation is true. If I do not find there is a preponderance of evidence to support a violation of one or more conditions of your parole, I'll reinstate your parole, which is releasing and placing back on parole supervision. If I find you violate one or more conditions of your parole, I will consider whether or not your parole should be revoked. If I recommend revocation, I'll make recommendation as to appropriate sanction, and my recommendation will be given to a panel for a final decision. If the panel wishes to impose a sanction beyond my recommendation, a supplemental hearing would be provided to justify additional confinement. So this is the procedure for today's hearing. I'm going to read you your rights. Then we're going to review the parole violation charge, state your appeal is bringing against you. I will review and identify exhibits filed for the record. Counsel will then have an opportunity to present a moment testimony. After considering all the evidence presented, I will announce my findings. If I find you violate one or more conditions of your parole, counsel will have an opportunity to speak to you background history. Do you have any questions about the purpose or procedure?
No.
You have important rights to this hearing, which I will now review with you. Right to have an attorney present, your counsel here. You have right to receive the written notice, charges of violation. Did you receive the written notice? You have right to review the evidence against you before this hearing. You have right to submit evidence to support your case. At this hearing, you have right to call and examine voluntary witnesses or cross-examine numerous witnesses. Do you understand these rights and are you ready to go forward?
No.
So we'll now review the charge, state your appeal is bringing against you. In reason underlying each charge, so charge 1, obey all laws of use and law. You're charging Officer Ford on 10/30/23. You were arrested on a warrant from Connecticut State Police, charging you with disorderly conduct, threatening second, some incident on 10/13/23. On 10/13/23, CSP responded to Open Heart Halfway House located in Charter Oak Ave, Hartford, for reports of threats. On arrival, police spoke to the victim. A Halfway House staff employee reported you threatened to beat him to death. The victim reported that you threatened the staff person, saying you would fuck him up, put him through a wall, and beat him to death. Staff reported that while you were making threats to kill the staff person, you stepped towards the victim in an aggressive manner. You appeared in court on the charge of disorderly conduct, threatening second, and you were convicted of threatening second-degree physical threat, in which you received unconditional discharge. The charge of disorderly conduct was nolly. Charge 2, under conditions half house placement, charging Officer Ford on 10/30/23. You were arrested on a warrant from Connecticut State Police, charging you with disorderly conduct, threatening second, semi-criminal incident at 10/13/23. On 10/13/23, Connecticut State Police responded to Open Heart Halfway House located at Hartford, Connecticut, for reports of threats. On arrival, police spoke to the victim. A Halfway House staff employee reported you threatened to beat him to death. The victim reported you threatened the staff person, stating you would fuck him up and put him through the wall and beat him to death. Staff report that while you're making threats to kill a staff person, you step towards the victim in an aggressive manner. You violate halfway house condition. I will treat others with respect and not engage in physical or physical altercations with others by person, staff, or third parties. In the state, as filed the following.
Is that too fast for y'all? Is that too fast? Child. That's how I listen to stuff all the time now. I just feel like I don't have time for the slow speak. Like, just tell me what I need to know. Let me get the information so I can go on about my business, child. So I listen to stuff fast, but she's already reading fast, so it sounds like super fast now. So I'll slow it back down, child. I ain't gonna do y'all like that. I'm gonna put it at 1.2. Let's do it like that. Okay. See how this sounds now.
Exhibit pre-marked for identification purposes as Exhibit A, agreement actual custody. B, notice of parole violation. C, parole violation report. D, parole conditions. E, halfway house conditions. F, arrest warrant application. Connecticut State Police case number ending 8711. G is DRMV's case defendant lookup docket ending in 172-S, and H is 3 open heart halfway house inch report stating 1323. Did you receive the notice of parole violation report, and other documents and marks? Did you review them?
He did.
And counsel filed the following exhibits pre-marked for identification purposes. Exhibit 1, list of parole accomplishments and future plans for parole reinstatements. Do you need to continue the sharing to obtain any additional evidence?
No.
Okay, we have no witnesses, so now defense opportunity. If you'd like to speak at this time.
Yes, and just make some comments regarding, so Mr. Sims had a previous violation, technical violation, where he was given 3.5 months. He was due to be re-paroled. So my client has actually been incarcerated. I know he was remanded on this particular one on 2/9/24, but he's actually been incarcerated since October 26th of 2023. The charge, this charge number 1, obedience to law, in my case that I represented him on today, was from an incident that occurred on October 13th of 2023. And then in warrant, he was arrested by the state police on October 30th. That obedience to the law charge, at the previous hearing, there was no finding made because it was not part of the parole violation report. So it
was not taken into consideration.
Correct. It's that conduct that already occurred. I understand he was not charged with the criminal aspect of it at that time, but it was dealt with at the previous hearing with the program participation to do with the same incident. So this is the same incident from the past. Not new conduct is what I'm trying to put on the record. So my client has been incarcerated since October 26th of 2023. You did correctly put the disposition on the record. He received an unconditional discharge on the threatening second, and the disorderly conduct was stopped. So I just want to clarify that for the first part of the hearing.
Do you have the other violation?
Yes, I have it. It's Attorney Doyle represented him. It was disposed on. He got just a 3.5 month sanction. As I indicated though in the summary of the previous, the status on the I'm not sure why the indicated incident occurred on October 13th. He was remanded on October 26th. Why it was not dealt with at the time, it's still that incident from the previous violation. And then he was remanded again. I'm sure my records indicate February 9th of 2024. So he was never released. They did a warrant for the incident at the halfway house. Once again, this is the same conduct that was dealt with, in my opinion, on the previous one. Obviously, when there's a warrant by the state police, it turns into obedience to the law. That's what he's here for today.
So I'll be right with you as much as I can. No, not yet. I just wanted to check. So I am going to announce my findings. So on charge 1, I do find you violation of bail laws, abuse of law, based on your conviction of threatening second, proceeded sentence to unconditional discharge, also based on Exhibit C, F, and G. On charge 2, I do find you violate additional board condition after placement based on the evidence provided, Exhibits A, E, F, and H. So that includes the fact-finding portion of the hearing. Before I make a recommendation, counsel will have an opportunity to give back on the history. This perfect part of the hearing is something outcome I would recommend. So if you'd like to.
Yes, we have Mr. Simons. I am respectfully requesting he be reinstated at the next board review based on what I just put on the record. He's been incarcerated since October 26, 2023. He was given the previous sanction. He was remanded again, so he was never released. He's been incarcerated on this one since February 9th. So he served that 3.5-month sanction on the technical violation. The disposition from court here was an unconditional discharge. My client, he's 50 years old. On his previous release, he was self-sponsored in Manchester, and then he was at the Open Hearth Halfway House program in Hartford, and he also spent some time in IOL in Hartford. Looks like he did begin studying English in Manchester Community College, and he does aspire to major in psychology. He did report to us, works for a security guard for Green Mountain Concert Services, also was employed at Outback Steakhouse, Applebee's, and he is a cook in a convalescent home in South Windsor for approximately 2 years. As far as plans for reinstatement, he would like to be placed in a halfway house in Waterbury or the New Haven area due to proximity.
Yeah. I don't live anywhere near Waterbury or New Haven.
But that's what we discussed, Derek.
We did not discuss that. I don't live anywhere near Waterbury or New Haven. I have no ties with Waterbury or New Haven.
Where do you want to go?
Home.
Doesn't have home.
There's no address.
No.
Okay.
Then you need to call my mother.
I already did that, and I spoke to your brother also. That's why these 2 recommendations were made.
Why in the hell would I go to Waterbury?
Where do you want to go then, Derek?
You need to lower your voice, partner.
I got to make sure you can hear me because we're on video here. I have to speak up so I can hear you and you can hear me. I'm not raising my voice.
I haven't done anything. All that court and stuff in court was thrown out. It was knowledge and non-judicial discharge.
Correct. And we're not that. She wants to know where you want to be housed. You wanted me to speak to your mother and speak to your brother, and I did. And these are the 2 options they gave me. Do you have a preferential place you want to be placed at? You can't go with your mother and you can't go with your brother. I spoke to them like you asked me to.
So where the hell am I supposed to go?
You have to go. What? We have to place you somewhere. We need to know what area.
What part of the state? That's why you asked me to do something, Derek. I did reach out to your
I never even spoke to you.
I spoke to you on the telephone 2 times. You did speak to me. Last time I spoke to you was February 27th. I have those in my file.
I don't recall that. I'm just being honest with you.
Okay, no, that's fine. But she's asking you. We want to know where you want to be placed. She wants to place you somewhere so I can get you out.
I don't even know anybody in Waterbury.
Well, you don't have to go to Waterbury. Where do you want to go? What area?
In the Hartford area.
Hartford. Okay. Okay.
And where would that be?
I don't know. I'm not the field officer, so I don't know where you'd be placed. But if you want to go to the Hartford area, we can look to place you in the Hartford area.
But where would I be placed is what I mean.
I'm telling you, I don't have that information. It'd be a halfway house, most likely.
But I can't go back to the Open Hearth.
There's other halfway houses.
Where? I need to get out of here today.
You're not leaving today.
When will I be leaving?
That's what we're going to get to. We're going to continue, and then you're going to know. All right. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it. Like I said, he asked me to speak to his family members. I did. So
they need to leave him in there. Leave him in there. Okay. I don't like his attitude, y'all. He said, where the hell am I supposed to go? Like, who are you talking to, sir? I'm gonna need you to humble yourself. Okay. This is crazy.
I put on the record what I needed to put regarding the disposition in court and how long Mr. Sines has been incarcerated for.
Okay, thank you. All right, so what I'm going to do is I know there's a prior violation as well as the new conviction for the threatening second. So I am going to make a recommendation that parole be revoked and that he be re-paroled for May 9th, 2024. It's about a 3-month period confinement as a sanction. Since what ends up being about 6.5 months from the 10/26/23 date, I recommend the following parole conditions: halfway house placement, no consumption of alcoholic beverages, no contact with victim IM and KJ, a general no contact with Colleen and Elizabeth, behavior management program for domestic violence, problem sexual behavior treatment, mental health evaluation, no contact with minors. I'm going to present the case to the board March 21st. So the board's going to vote on when you get out on March 21st, and then we're going to have the parole board. I'm going to present you to the parole board on March 21st, and then they're going to. Yes, that's the day I have to present your case to the parole board, and then they're going to give you your parole date. Okay.
What do you mean? When am I leaving?
Well, May 9th is the recommended date. So the parole board's got to vote. The parole board's going to vote next week on the 21st.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, okay, hold on. Oh, whoa. I was not, that was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. I told y'all, leave them in there. Leave him in there. Child. Hold on, let's run that back a bit. Jesus. What the world?
Okay?
What do you mean, when am I leaving?
Well, May 9th is the recommended date. So the parole board's gonna vote, the parole board's gonna vote next week on the 21st.
You're kidding me.
That concludes the hearing. You're all set, sir.
Yourself. No parole for Tate.
Okay,
No parole for Tate.
so,
No parole for Tate. None.
okay,
Mr.
Whoa. Now that's okay. Child, that woke me up a little bit. I was like, wait, it happened. Wait, hold on. Did y'all see that outburst? He was like, well, F y'all then. Child, leave him in there. Please leave him in. I hope he's still in there. When was this? Child, how long ago was this video? Leave him in there. Jeez. I mean, I suppose I can understand, like you wanting to get out and then, you got to kind of plead your case to these people and like maybe they ain't hearing you or they don't believe you changed or like you trying to figure out why I got to ask them to get out and, child. But still, like you're not in any position to be trying to get all loud and crazy and cutting up like that. That's wild. Child, I guess they're gonna go to the next case, but I wanna see what Mandu had to say about this.
Tate is not getting parole because of anger issues. That's what's going on here. No parole.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. And for those of you who know, and for those of you who have not seen the No Parole for Tate hearing, it is a must-see. It is a Connecticut classic, and I'll put a link to it in the description below. But I'm just not going to comment much on this parole hearing because I don't know.
Sure, I want to see that Tate one. Let me see. Where is it? Where's the link? Child, he be talking about he putting a link in the description. Where the link at, child? I don't see no link. Where is that? Where is that? Maybe that's it right there. He tries to trick the parole board. Yellow jumpsuit hearing. What is this?
can you tell us why you're in a yellow jumpsuit?
Because when I had got extradited here from New York, car in front of you, car in back of you, and it's just a lot. So when they had took me to the hospital, it was only one officer with no firearm, and it was no escort, nothing. So when I was like, no, I didn't mean nothing bad. I was just trying to say that from coming from New York point of view and over here, yeah, security thing is crazy because I'm used to like certain and they're making a big deal and shutting off the highways and they shut off
the first error. You saw an opportunity where you could leave. You were expressing to your.
Okay, so we are about to watch his parole hearing. As you can see, he's now outside in the yellow jumpsuit. This whole procedure where he was caught on camera, taking the yellow jumpsuit off, I happened to catch on camera. So I thought I'd take a blast back in the past so you can watch it happen before we jump into his parole hearing. But in short, you don't want to take a parole hearing in a yellow jumpsuit. He's under higher protection, lockdown. He was accused of trying to escape. So as you can see, his first attempt is to see if he can get away with it, take off the yellow jumpsuit and go in. And I wanted to share this aspect with you. It actually lasts quite a while, so we'll put it on 2x speed while we talk a little bit about this case before we jump in. And we're going to start from the beginning. But as I'm talking, you can see a little bit of he's peeking through right there. I felt that it was important enough to share, and I didn't know where to share, so that's why I'm going into this. But we're going to go through a little bit of his crimes while we watch this kind of.
Yeah, it's also kind of refreshing to see like him kind of like laughing about some of this stuff because like really like some of this stuff is kind of comical. You just be like, what in the world, dude? Like, what are you doing? I kind of want to see this one too. Let's just watch it and see what happens.
Sequence play out, and then we're going to start his hearing. But he was sentenced to a maximum of 10 years, and he was doing a lot of home invasions. He also gets into this side where he won a lawsuit of like $450,000, like when he was 19, and then how he blew through that money in just a couple of months, got into the lifestyle of having money. It really is just an absolute wild interview. Again, you can see here where he tries to come back in, but he's asked eventually to leave and put his uniform back on. So it was not a good start. And we'll just have to see how the board reacts. We never know with Connecticut. So with that, let's jump in.
378-949.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration for provocation for Israel Basero, 378-949. He's serving 10 years for home invasion, 3 counts of burglary during March 21st. As of today, records reflect a eligibility date of May 19, 2023. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender and review to show the offender has completed the following programs: Bad Assist Treatment Program, utilizing statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system scores. Offenders overall score for recidivism falls in the high range. This is your opportunity to express the training program. You may begin.
Mr. Becerra, did you hear?
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
tell us why you should be granted parole?
Because I feel like I'm not the same, same individual I was prior to being incarcerated. I learned how to basically not take things for granted and not to work basically for the things that I need in life, and how to be humble myself. Basically be a better person. And I feel like I changed from how I used to be prior to coming here. I feel like I'm a different person. And plus, my mom is on dialysis. She's at that age, and I'm trying to be there for her for the last couple of months or a year or whatever time she has left. So I'm trying to make it home to her.
Are you all done?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for your opening comments. Can you tell us why you're in a yellow jumpsuit?
Because when I had got extradited here from New York, they had me in the prison Corrigan. And at Corrigan, I had chest pain. I had open heart surgery, and I had chest pain. And they had took me to, I believe it was Bridgeport Hospital. It was a hospital that had to, I think it was Bridgeport or Stanford Hospital. I don't know too much about Connecticut because I'm from New York, but it was a hospital from around here, I believe. And when they had took me to the hospital, the officers that were escorting me, they didn't have like weapons, and it wasn't like how I'm used to in New York. In New York, when you go to hospital, CERT takes you and they take you fully armed, and it's a car in front of you, car in back of you, and it's just a lot. So when they had took me to the hospital, it was only one officer with no firearm, and it was no escort, nothing. So when I went to the hospital, when I came back to my cell, I told my brother, and then I was writing my brother in the letter, and I told him that he's crazy. I never said nothing about escape and nothing like that. I just said it's crazy that I had minor chest complication, and they just took me to the hospital today. And it's crazy because how they security over here is not like New York, and the person was like really dangerous or something. He could have had escaped because they didn't have no fire. It was nobody following us, nothing, and it was crazy. So the officers that came the next day were like, "Sir, what was the content of this letter about?" I was like, "No, I didn't mean nothing bad. I was just trying to say that from coming from New York point of view and over here, yeah, security thing is crazy because I'm used to like certain they're making a big deal and shutting off the highways and they shut off
Mr. Becerra, you saw an opportunity where you could leave. You were expressing to your brother that there was no security.
I didn't say nothing about it. I just said that it was crazy
So
how
why?
Okay. How
So-
the security measure was, and it was. I said, I was like, if a person was crazy and had a lot of time and they wanted to escape, I think they could have got away because it was the guy was sleeping and he was not even paying mine. So then they came and gave me a ticket, and I explained it. They're like, no, but so we understand. You just can't write stuff like that. I was like, yeah, but don't put me on a yellow jumper. Don't write me a ticket because I didn't mean nothing. He's like, no, but sir, we understand what you were saying about coming from New York and over here, but through the captain's point of view and all these people, they just want to put you in a yellow jumper. And I was like, but that's gonna make me look like a crazy person. They're like, yeah, but it's something that.
So you're
you're
a high risk security.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But I never try to escape.
She's like, so long story short, all of that you just said means nothing, sir. Basically, you're a problem. And he's like, yeah, yeah, that's it. That's what it is.
I never did nothing. I was just writing. I was expressing something, and I should have never even wrote that. This was 2014 that I had wrote that to my brother in a letter.
Y'all see, I told y'all they like to say like, oh, this was just so long ago. You know, this is back in 2014. No, child. That is who you are. You still that person. That timeline has nothing to do with nothing. Okay.
But I never said nothing about escaping and nothing like that.
Okay. So you said you never had a job?
No, never. I volunteered. When I was young, I was in a juvenile facility in New York, and I had to take my certification for CPR and first aid, and I took my lifeguard certification, and I passed it. And I was going to do underwater welding, but at that time when I came out, it was just a lot going on. I had ran into a big lawsuit, and I wasted $400,000 like in 2 months, and my mindset was just.
Well, wait a minute. What did you do with it?
Give it all away. They gave me 20,000, 20,000, 30,000, 20,000, 20,000, bought jewelry, bought clothes.
So you say that you're always looking for fast money. So you do home invasion with a dangerous weapon. You have 3 counts of burglary and larceny first. It never occurred to you at any time that you could get a job?
Yeah, I had off the book jobs before, like clothing stores and stuff like that, but never paycheck with pay stubs and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not expecting to, but you know, I was at the age I was only 17 years old, so running to 480,000 and wasting that in 2 months, it was just different. I didn't, and then where I'm from, the area that I was from is real crime area, a lot of drugs. I'm from the South Bronx, so that's where I grew up my whole life. So there was just a lot of going on, and I was used to always having money. So and I was used to giving away money, and then I didn't have nothing to give away. So at that age, at a young age, I met some kids that were burglarizing things, and then I ran into. One time I had did a burglary, and then I found some high-end watches, some name brand watches.
Mr. Bracero, you keep saying, you know, when you were young, you're 41 years old now. How long have you been incarcerated?
Incarcerated for already 14 and a half years.
14 and a half years straight.
Yes, ma'am.
So you haven't taken any program. You completed the math. Go ahead.
I just came to the state, and I'm trying to put down for. I've been writing requests and requests today saying that being out of my high security, I can't go to school, I can't get a job, I can't get a trade. I tell them, I'm like, listen, I'm going to parole board, I'm going home, so I need a trade, something to show the parole. They're like, yeah, for sure, we're doing the yellow jump. I was like, yeah, but I'm in the yellow jump for something a content that I wrote that was just like a joke mainly, but it was nothing serious. And I was like, I need to get a training or something. And no, but you're right, because you're supposed to go to your parole board a year ago, and then they postponed it. You just came to the state, and they keep on giving me the runaround. So I'm trying to get a training or a job, but it's not going through. I don't know. They keep on saying, yeah, when you get off the yellow jumper, and then we put you in a waiting list. But I tried, and I just came to the state in May. So
yeah. So one of the things that you said is that you don't care about the burglaries. You just need money to support other people or the other people that you have to support.
I didn't say nothing about. See, the way he miswrote that, I didn't mean that I didn't care about it. I didn't say that I didn't care, because I do care, because maybe when I was young I didn't care, but now I do care, because now, not only because I invaded somebody's privacy, because that could put a toll on somebody. I understand that I do care. But all right, when I was young, my girlfriend, I left her for 1 second, and I came back and I found out somebody raped and killed them. And I don't like people who hurt women, or have cases like that. Not that I'm a target and nothing like that. It's just that it's something that it dwelled on me, and I suffer from mental disorder because of that, panic attacks and everything. So growing up, I lived in the Bronx. So there's a lot of strip clubs and girls prostituting. So I had to be like, yo, listen, don't do that. Don't do that because look at Oxygen, look at True Crime TV, look at this, look at that. Oh, I even show them.
I'm going to stop you there because it's about you, not other people.
I gave the money away. Well, I was giving money away. So I was trying to give money to.
You need to change your life.
Yes.
What is it that you need to do in order to change your life?
Basically find a good job and do something constructive that's gonna keep me in the positive and stay away from bad individuals or my past friends, and just be there for my mom and be there for my kids and my grandkids.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 boys.
You have, but they're adults, right?
That's one.
How old are they?
22 and 19.
Yeah, so they're they're young adults. So are you financially responsible for supporting them?
No, right now, no, because I'm here. But my family tries to take it. They work, but when I do go home, either parole or whatever, they max me or whatever, I have people that well, I got a brother. He cuts down trees in Florida and builds ground swimming pools, and then I got another brother. He's like a supervisor in the post office at UPS, and he got a job waiting for me there. And then I got another job, it's like a water park in Pennsylvania, and then I got another job in Long Island that they do underwater welding. So,
yeah, but Mr. Bracero, wait, you said you want to learn the welding trade.
Yes.
So, you're talking about like 3 or 4 different things that you want to do when you go out. You have to focus on where you're going to go, and wherever you go, what's going to be available at that place. You can't be talking about Florida, Pennsylvania, and wherever else.
No, the reason I say that because I don't know what you guys' decision is, and I don't know what's going to be because no, because I don't know if you guys know, but I have 5 years parole in New York, and I got 5 years parole in Pennsylvania. So if I get released from here, I'm going to be on parole with you guys to November. And then once November comes, I got to check in New York or Pennsylvania. So what I'm planning on doing, if, God forbid, you guys don't max out, but if I do max out, I'm going to get my parole transfer to Florida and I think I'm going to do the underwater welding and build swimming pools over there because my brother's making a lot of money doing that, cutting down trees. And it's just something outside, swimming, and something nice.
So you have 2 parole, one in New York and one in Pennsylvania, but you want to go to Florida.
I'm gonna get it because I got 10 years, 4 to 9 in Pennsylvania with 5 years in Pennsylvania running concurrent. And then I got 12 years in New York and 10 years in New York running concurrent. And over here, I believe I got 10 years and 5 and 5 running concurrent, all consolidated with IAD packet. So I'm running all this time is running concurrent, but I was doing the time in New York because New York had ownership of me. So then I maxed out all of New York, and then Connecticut picked me up. Pennsylvania said they don't even want me. That they good. They don't even
But
want me
you're
over
still
there.
going to have 5 years of parole with them.
But it's concurrent with New York, so I could do it in New York or PA, or I could get it extradited to Florida and do it in Florida.
When the parole officer spoke to you, Mr. Bracero, you said you wanted to go to your mother in Pennsylvania.
Yes. Once I come out, I'm gonna go to Pennsylvania with my mom.
So now they're changing. You want to go to Florida?
My mom is going with me. I'm taking her with me. Once I come home, I'm going to Pennsylvania. 2 years working in the post office thing, building my credit and basically saving.
You're guaranteed a job at post office in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Which post office?
In Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
Where?
UPS. Stroudsburg is in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. It's a UPS post office service. It's just unloading and loading trucks. You get $100 for each truck you load, and then overtime you make money over loading trucks basically, and it's good benefits. They get health benefits.
Mr. Bracero, there's a reason why they gave you a flat sentence. You have such an extensive criminal history, and you did New York and now you're here in Connecticut. You haven't been able to do any programs, but you've received several DRs. Your last DR was August of last year for fighting.
Yeah, they had me in Hartford County, and I don't look for problems. I know there's no excuse for fighting or whatever. It was actually not even a fight. It was just basically pushing somebody away and on camera. That's the guy was there talking and getting riled up, and I mushed him like, get away from me. And then that's it. And then they came and they were like, so what happened? I was like, no, you seen the camera, you see this guy coming close to me, he's gonna hit me. Well, I'm not gonna let him hit me. So they were like, yeah, just come on, we gotta take you out there. But it was not that I was looking for problems or
You know, Ms. Becerra, I'm at a loss as to what to do with you today. Because your criminal history is such that you're kind of all over the place. Did you ever have to pay for any of the jewelry that you stole?
no. They didn't tell me I have to pay restitution.
They didn't.
That was part of the plea deal.
Yeah, this is, but the bottom line is, you know, you have to get some kind of trade.
Yes. I'm gonna no. Once I get out, I already got it set up for me to do underwater.
This guy, y'all, first of all, he talking too much. Okay, first of all. Second of all, like, nothing he's even saying is making sense to the next thing. Like, he has so many plans, and he's gonna do this, and he's gonna do that, and he has this opportunity and that opportunity. I don't believe any of it. It's just like, I don't believe any of it. Y'all believe it? Child. He lying. Just like the rest of them.
Well, in training. And
all right, I'm all set.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you for answering my questions, Mr. Dorgan.
I don't have any follow-up questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Cole?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm somewhat concerned and would like, in this particular case, would like an opportunity to talk to Mr. Bersario off the record.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing confidential inmate information. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Becerra, we're going to go off the record to have a conversation with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you call the CO in for us, please?
Right now?
Yeah, call it in.
It's Feliciano.
Yes, how can I help you?
Hi, we're gonna have you disconnect and then call you back directly so the board can speak to him off of the live stream.
Okay.
So if you just push the red button to hang up, and then in a few seconds, you'll get a new prompt and just hit accept.
What y'all think they're gonna say?
Why didn't they want to talk to you off the record, then? The shows they're calling you back?
Yeah, she said that they're gonna call back.
Are you live, but your mic?
Hi, you reconnected to the public meeting. So I have to have you hang up again and then wait for the button that says accept to appear on screen. You're muted. Can you hear me? It's going to be on the tablet for the TV. So you press the red button on the tablet to hang up and then just wait for a few seconds. You're going to get a new pop-up and it'll say accept. You just have to hang up first. Do you see the red phone button to hang up? If you, I can't hear you because you're still muted, but if you press the red button to hang up, and we'll call you right back.
Child, she don't know what she doing at all, child.
I haven't been years. I don't even know how to mess with the phone.
I don't know. So now he's muted?
I'm muted. You can hear her? Oh yeah, now it's on muted. Look.
Okay, so Mr. Becerra, we're back on the record, so we're gonna discuss your case. You can listen but not say anything. Okay? So, Mr. Becerra, has an extensive criminal history in, I don't know, several states. And I know we just inherited him from New York. And he has not been able to complete any program except the MAT program. But in the meanwhile, he has received several serious DRs, which I have extreme concern about. And I understand that he has some other, mental health issues that he's taken care of, and he's in control of it. The time between now and his EOS date is 6 months. But I think based on the nature of his offense and his criminal history, that I do not think Mr. Becerra is appropriate to go out into the community at this time. So I would like to deny, knowing that he will either end up with interstate New York or Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well, I haven't grown any sentence, just the number of DRs. When we asked him why he was in the yellow jumpsuit, he explained about that. But what's concerning is the Googling of the $1 million homes and then looking at the $4 million homes and then going into one of those homes, not hurting the woman, but putting her on the floor. I wasn't going to hurt her. It's too much for me to overcome. I had vagrant circumstance, current offense as one reason, along with evidence of offender change, program participation, and poor institutional justice.
I just had nature and circumstance, criminal history, and poor institutional adjustment.
Okay.
I just, I concerns, obviously. My concerns were addressed off the record because I had to deal with personal information. It's protected by HIPAA.
Okay. So in the case of Israel Becerra, inmate number 378949, There is a motion to deny request for discretionary parole for these reasons: nature and circumstances of the current offense, criminal history, and poor institutional adjustment. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Mr. Bracero. That's the clock.
I said leave, right?
This is done for here for 87894.
Thank you.
So what they so basically I'm maxing out, so I go home in November now, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Well, that was as wild a hearing as I thought we'd get. It's quite funny that he ends it off with "Happy Valentine's." I mean, the guy is wow. They make him different on the East Coast, that's for sure. It's I mean, who would have thought he has? First, he's at Rikers. Then he does a 14 and a half years. Well, no, he's been locked up 14 and a half years. So he's just finishing up a 10-year sentence in Connecticut. And he somehow managed not to get parole in Connecticut. You know you're doing something wrong. So he did 4.5 years in Rutgers. He is now sent to Connecticut. And then in theory, he has to go to Pennsylvania. He claims they don't want him, but who knows? We'll go over his crimes. You know, something interesting. One of the board members mentioned at the end how he was concerned. He Googled $1 million homes and then decided to go to the $4 million homes. And I mean, so his full term, he's getting out, like they said. Anyways, his full term date is November 18, 2024. He's done. He's been locked up since 5/29/2015. And again, you show up to a parole hearing being like the maximum security unit in the jumpsuit that he tried to hide at the beginning. And he starts off with the story about winning $480,000 when he's 17, but blowing through it in 2 months, 20 grand here, 30 grand there. And then he tries to help people, you know, the strip clubs and it's like, what do you, like, can you legit have done nothing with your time? And that's up there with a really bad interview. And it's kind of funny how the board's like entertaining it. And they didn't really, they don't do the same thing that Louisiana does. They don't talk about, tell us what happened. It seems it was a home invasion where there was the wife, the mother, the woman, the homeowner was there. I guess we don't have the details on who she was, but that he put her on this was, I don't think that it goes into the details on what we have, but so this was written in 2014, updated in 2021, which is quite interesting. A New York convict was arraigned early Tuesday after he was extradited to Berks County to be prosecuted in a 2011 burglary. He was 31 at the time, was picked up at Auburn Correctional Facility in New York on Monday night by deputy sheriffs and transported to Berks. He was committed to the county prison in lieu of $10,000 bail following arraignment before Senior District Judge Gloria in Reading Central Court on burglary-related charges. He will be returned to Auburn to complete his prison sentence after Berks' case is finished, prosecutor said. The Berks charges were filed by the police criminal investigator, David Yo, and Spring Township Police Detective Robert Lang, both of whom were also certified county detectives at that time. Okay, get to the point, guys. At about 10:35 a.m. on February 7, 2011, here we go. So he rang the doorbell of a home in 300 block Foss Road several times and pounded on the door. The homeowner ran to the bathroom and called 911. So Brasirio and two other men kicked in the front door and went inside. They left without taking anything after discovering the homeowner was inside, so they didn't know the homeowner was there. Several months later, and can you imagine how scary that is? To have three men break down your door and you're hiding in the bathroom, even though they left right away, just the trauma that causes. Several months later, and they're in Connecticut, right? So chances are you don't have you have a baseball bat to defend yourself, right? Was identified as a person of interest in several Berks County burglaries, as well as burglaries in Greenwich, Connecticut. Court records do not list the other burglaries. In September 2011, Long State Police Trooper Detective Greenwich Police interview Brasirio at Rikers Island Complex in New York City, where he was incarcerated on other charges. Brasirio has shown photographs of the exterior and interior of the Foss Road house, and he recognized it. noting it was surrounded by a large field. He admitted taking part in the break-in with 2 other men whom he refused to identify. Why would, it's always funny. It's funny how easy some of these folks confess. And I guess you see him, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. But imagine if like detectives show up to your jail to Rikers in Connecticut, and it's like, hey, do you recognize this house? Did you break in there? Do you want more charges? Yes, I do recognize that house. I broke in. Like, what did they have to give him, like a soda to get him to do that? They brought him some McDonald's. I mean, like, real what? They drove to and from the home in blue Dodge Charger with a Connecticut license plate. As they fled the home, they passed a police car heading to the house. Detectives filed charges in Frost burglary in January 2012. No one else had been charged. And then we have, so this was written on April 30th and updated August 19th. This is written a little bit later, but I don't think there's not much in here. Kind of the same thing. Let's see. It's a little different. Officers were, and thank you, Richard, for providing this. Okay, so yeah, it is different. So January 18, 2011, a resident of the condominium complex contacted police to detail what he suspected was potential burglary at the apartment upstairs, reporting allegedly heard knocking and significant movement. And when he peered out of the peephole of his door, he saw 2 Hispanic men carrying large items and loading them into a blue Dodge Charger outside. The door to the upstairs condo had been forced open, police said. It's a little hard to see this, right? I just realized. As he took out his garbage, the witness caught a glimpse of the Charger, Connecticut plates, and reported what he saw to police. When police arrived, they found the condominium clearly ransacked with missing jewelry and electronics at $27,000. What a heist, huh? Officers later tracked the plates of the blue Charger to Waterbury resident, but Waterbury police cannot locate. I mean, he was Googling $4 million homes. I guess you'll have big scores there. Reading police later told investigators that the car was frequently seen around high crime areas in the city and that it was part of an ongoing unspecified local case. Spring Township officers attested to the car being present at the scene of several burglaries, and then they revealed that they had cited the car once for being given a ticket to a man by the name of Lester Oscar de Jesus. The name police later discovered was an alias for our friend Israel Brasario, who had developed close ties with Reading area pawn shops where he frequently sold jewelry. In September 2011, police tracked down and interviewed him, who was then incarcerated at Rikers Island for assault with a deadly weapon, as well as third-degree burglary. After being shown pictures of homes he reportedly burglarized in Greenwich, he told investigators detailed about each of the thefts. Yeah, I'm gonna get like just the full confession. He told Greenwich officers he had sold jewelry netted in the Old Kings Highway incident home to some Albanian kids outside a coin store in New Haven. He refused to identify his accomplices, however. He was extradited to Pennsylvania, where he pled guilty to burglary in that township and was sentenced to 49 years. I wonder if... Anyway, so here's one more... Here's one more thing that Richard found, which is quite interesting. So it shows his violent side, I would say. So it's about a court case of someone who's was attacked by his roomie. So, and he's suing. I think he's suing the prison. It's not 100% clear to me, but we'll get to why. So on June 7, 2014, now this isn't who we just watched, but they bring him up in here as to reason why the fighting happened. So on June 27, 2014, Alexis, the victim, and were cellmates. Appellant attacked the victim, pulling him off the top bunk of the bed with a length of material. There was an ongoing struggle. The injuries suffered by the victim were a closed fracture of the nose and nasal bone, ligature marks around his neck, a black eye, broken teeth, and scratches. So these are the fights that we don't seem to hear that much about, really, when we do these things, but I guess they're happening. And Pennsylvania state trooper investigated the incident, and the appellant told him that he was defending himself against a sexual assault by the victim. So the attacker claimed to the state trooper that he was getting attacked by the victim. The appellant, though, I guess wasn't believed and was charged with attempted homicide, aggravated assault, and simple assault. So he earned a real nice charge. The case proceeded to a jury trial on June 9, 2015, and the appellant was represented by an attorney. The Commonwealth theory of the case was that the appellant attacked the victim in retaliation for an incident between the victim and another inmate, our dear friend Rosario. So they claimed that it was a retaliation because they said that Rosario stabbed the victim with a shank. So this guy apparently is getting beaten bad. I mean, he's stabbed by our sweetheart Rosario with a shank. And then the victim, I guess, made the mistake of ratting. He told his wife to call the prison to report the shank. And the shank was found in Rosario's cell 1 or 2 days after the incident. So this was retaliation for his buddy, who was his roommate. I mean, they put him up to this. You gotta, he's a snitch. That's the crazy thing about prisons, right? We don't see these things happening in Louisiana. I have no doubt that they do, though. We just haven't really read about it. But here it is in Connecticut that we're reading about shanks and retaliation and serious, celly on celly assaults. The Commonwealth first called the victim who testified he was in his bunk bed with his eyes closed. Appellant pulled the victim down, choked his neck with the. Whenever I read this stuff, I think of our Jesse. Yeah, buddy. I don't know how you handled it, man. Gosh, it's like so many of you in the chat have had experiences like this, and I really appreciate you being involved in the Mandalorian community. We can learn so much from you guys. I don't know. Is it something you just, once you're in the situation, you figure out how to handle yourself? It's like live or die. Or I feel like if I found myself in a situation, I would just say, get me into solitary. I'll live out my time but I know it's not so simple. I don't know. So the appellant pulled the victim down, choked his neck with a sheet torn into strips, and repeatedly said that snitches have to die. The victim was able to get away and asked why the appellant was doing this. The appellant laughed and said he was playing, but all of a sudden he pinned the victim against the wall and started choking him. The two wrestled while the appellant continued to use the sheet to choke the victim. The sheet moved towards the victim's mouth, injuring his tooth. The attack lasted 40 minutes. I mean, he was fighting for his life. Can you imagine fighting for your life for 40 minutes? Well, to put it into context, right? Professional boxers who are elite athletes, probably in the best physical shape of most people in the world, they do 10 rounds at 3 minutes apiece, if they do all 10 rounds, and they get breaks. That's just, the door to the cell opened and the victim immediately ran out to the officers. Correction officers who was on duty at the prison at the time of the incident testified that at 6:15 at 8 p.m., he unlocked the cell doors in the J block for the inmates' recreation. He could not see what was going on. In the victim's cell, before he unlocked the doors, about 10 seconds after unlocking the doors, the victim rapidly approached the officer's desk and said, "I want off this block. I want protective custody." Yeah, exactly. My cellie tried to kill me. The victim had marks on his neck, a lot of blood from his mouth, swelling on his face, a lot of laceration scratches on his neck. I mean, I watch a lot of YouTube stuff from people in prison, and 23 and 1 is a channel I watch for a lot of insight. I don't know if you've heard of him. I like his channel. But he says you can't ask for protective custody. You're kind of screwed. Your reputation is cemented once you do that, if people find out about it. But I mean, at this point, his reputation was already screwed. Sergeant Catherine Krulak testified that she investigates allegations, including the incident at the prison anti-jury trial. To appeal his appeal, we note that the following examination of Commonwealth as to when the shank was found in Priscilla's cell. So, I'm not going to finish all of it. That was pretty intense. I didn't expect to read that much of it, but I got sucked into the story. Kind of scary to think that if he doesn't go to more time in Pennsylvania, he'll be out, because it's just, is he really going to stay out type of thing? he got like busted in that lie where he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go to Florida," and they're like, "You can't go to Florida." Or the idea of, so much has happened, I forgot to even talk about it, but the idea that why he's in that jumpsuit, why they said that he was attempting escape, and it wasn't clear when that incident happened. Was it just 6 months ago? Did it happen 5 years ago? Maybe they said it. I didn't catch when it happened, but I guess he got put in that. It could be because of his prior history with the shanking and everything, that they just keep him as a high max prisoner, and they're not in any rush to take him out of it. I'm sure he has other reasons why they do it, but it was interesting seeing him try to sneak away by taking it off. Like that really would have helped. Like they wouldn't have known. And then his story about how in Connecticut it's like real easy. I could just escape, and and if it's true what he's saying, that's scary. I mean, kind of doesn't surprise me, but at the same time it does, because who escorts dangerous prisoners? It seemed like there were multiple of them with one unarmed guard. Someone might want to take a look at that. And then the question is, did the story happen the way he portrayed it? That, oh, I just wrote my brother and I mentioned it as a story, not that I wanted to escape. And I also can believe that happening, but I also don't. This guy has, I think, pretty much zero credibility when it comes to truth talking, in my opinion. But tell me what you think about these Connecticut parole hearings. Some of them they're just different. There's something different about them. I certainly prefer to see the parole board members. We don't see that, but I have done a couple hearings where I reviewed the profiles and showed you what they look like. But thank you, Richard, again. And with that, I'll let you go.
I think I'm gonna let y'all go too, child. I need another nap. Y'all saw me over here struggling for my life, child, to stay awake. But I made some good progress. So let me show y'all. Let me see where we are right now. Okay, let's see. Let me show y'all where we are. Okay. All right. We're at the closing letter. Excuse me. We're at the closing letter. So this is basically the end of the book. This is page 85, and it says there's 95 pages, which is going to be a little less than that because I got to do some more editing to it. Let me see what we are, 15. So, oh yeah, we steady making progress. Oh my God, excuse me, I'm sorry. Y'all. This is the trenches, y'all. We in the trenches in this writing process. Sometimes it like I have to feel it. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to get the creative juices going and stuff before I can really get in this space. So once I'm here, it's like, okay, I'm like, I want to get it done. I'm focused, like I'm on a roll. I got the mojo, So that's what we are in the process right now. I just finished the final thoughts for the daughters who see, and then the closing letter. Oh my God. So I still got to edit this one. And there's a few spaces in here I need to fix. And then we're just going to keep on making progress. So yeah, y'all, we're doing good though. We're doing good. We had a good session this time. And I don't think I'm going to look back at this again until probably this afternoon, sometime maybe like around 4, maybe 4-ish. Then I might get back started on it, and then and probably just go ahead and knock the rest of it out. And then I'll do like another look through and see what else I need to change. Because like I told you, you got to look at it like multiple times in order to like catch some of the errors that you made, because you're gonna look over errors, as you're going through it. So that's why you got to look multiple times. And trust me, like even with the last book, I still like see spots in there like, dang, I missed that, And I had other people looking at it too, but sometimes you just miss it, you know? And so that's why you do the best you can. You look over it as many times as you can till you get it to where it's like nearly perfect, you know, because there's no such thing as perfect. But you know, you just do the best that you can to get it where you like it. So this is where I am now. I'm on the closing letter. So yeah, we're just steady making progress, y'all. So again, like usual, like the video on your way out and let me know what you're working on so we can hold each other accountable. You know, we can, you know, be each other's cheerleaders and um you know, it's almost like you know, this is how I feel about it. I feel like we're just all kind of like working together, you know. We're not all in the same space, but it's like we're in the same space and we're just, you know, able to like encourage each other and you know, just keep more moving forward to progress. I believe that we're all created to create, you know. So whatever that means for you, you know, some people create, I don't know, baked goods, you know, some people write books, some people do both of them, okay? You know, some people create art in other ways, you know. So like whatever you happen to be creating, even if you're just on your job, you know, this is a, you know, a good time for us to just kind of like be in a collective space, be on one accord with you know, creating and putting something great out into the world, you know, doing something great for our families, our communities. And so, you know, that's just how I look at it. So this is where I am. Stopping here. I'm trying not to yawn, you guys. I'm sorry. Because I know some of y'all are just getting up, you know. So I'm sorry I'm in here yawning, child. But this is what the trenches looks like for me. So I'm gonna take another nap. Then I'm get up, get myself cleaned up, you know, get showered, you know, try to look decent. And then I gotta meet my husband and we're gonna hang out for a little while today. And then I'm gonna come back. And if I'm not too tired, then I'm gonna come back and just get right back to work and try to finish this out. But if I am tired, then I'll take a nap first and then get back up and, you know, finish this book out. But I'm happy with the way this is going. And I think that after this, like probably Saturday, I'll go ahead and probably send it back to the editor. Well, send it to the editor. This will be her first time looking at this book. She's already edited 2 of my books that are forthcoming. Um, so I already know her work. I trust her. I love the way she does. She knows like my writing style. She knows what I like. And you know, so it's easy for her to, you know, go through and make corrections as she sees them. And then of course I trust her to make the corrections. She doesn't change, you know, anything that I don't want changed, you know. And if she does it, you know, I can go back and just, you know, change it back. So I'm able to track her changes and all of that stuff. So um, obviously, I highly recommend her. So whenever y'all are ready to write your book and get it edited and everything, you know, reach out to me. Let me know. I can definitely like, you know, point you in the right direction of, you know, some resources that you can use and all that good stuff. So, child, I'm about to put this bonnet back on and I'm about to go back to sleep. Okay. So I love y'all. And remember, you are important to me. I need you to survive. Bye bye for now.